At ease. It's your boy Soul Immortal. And I'd like to just thank y'all for showing up for another edition of God Talk. Tonight is going to be slightly different. Tonight we're going to look at issues that should be discussed that really haven't been discussed. And this is the deal. This is the deal, man. Like this is my take on relationships, right? This is my take on it. Like, the dating pool for men and women, it sucks. I don't think anybody on the face of God's green earth can argue with that. We can get online and, we can hear the issues that men are seeing. Go to the red pill community. Brothers are saying women are cheating. Women are doing all these things. Women are XYZ. These brothers aren't lying. These brothers are actually telling the truth. That's really what the streets are looking like, right? You can go to some of these women's pages, and they're saying all men are like that. All men just want to get in the draws. All men just want to, play games. All men want to do X, Y, Z. And to be honest, brothers, like that's what the dating pool is made of. That's what the streets beholds. You know what I'm saying? I'm a firm believer that only 5% of both the male and female population are worth entertaining. And when I say 5% and I say entertaining, I'm not even talking about marriage. I'm talking about, I believe there are only 5% of the population that's worth even considering to getting some kind of committed situation with. You know what I'm saying? When you're talking about marriage, brothers, you're talking about 1% or less. You're talking about 1% or less of the female population or male population, if I'm keeping it a buck, that's worthy to even talk about, to even entertain marriage, right? But I'll tell you this, guys. Once a man or once a woman is finally, plugs their ears and puts the blinders on to what the rest of the world is saying and kind of just sits back and finds that deeper level of self. But I'm telling you, there's no way around it. You will start to see a different caliber of women. With sisters, you will start to see a different caliber of man when it comes to the dating pool, right? But even then, once you get to this slim pickings of people, but the way this world is working right now, it's still not good. It's still not even safe to go into these situations. And that's why we're having the discussion that we're having today. There are a lot of things that need to be talked about. Again, even this pool it still has some contamination. It still has people that are suffering from trauma. Today, brothers, today, sisters, we're going to talk about dating, relationships, and unspoken issues.
First of all, the greatest thing on the planet is the knowledge of self and basically the knowledge of the universe. For the mere fact that you are even interested in this or remotely interested in this at this particular time when shit is going on crazy out here, it means that you are the special evolved beings. Stop thinking like a human. You got to start thinking as a God. G-O-D, generator, operator, and destroyer. Is it not written in your law that ye are God? John chapter 10, verse 34, 35. But what is the whole of is that the actual gods do not realize they're God.
All right, brothers. All right, sisters. Of course, y'all couldn't expect for me to have such conversations solo. Of course, y'all know I'm going to bring, some people on the panel that I feel to be, some high caliber, individuals, right? And first, I want to give a warm welcome for my sister. Y'all saw her a few weeks ago as she made her cameo on the Immortal Minds live stream. This sister has a series of books that will be released in 2022. They go by the names of The Alphabet Enchanted Island. They go by Harmony's Healthy Horchata and the Posture Monster, which are all children's books. She's also working on a fabulous documentary that's soon to be released here in the upcoming weeks called Teacher, Don't Teach Me No Nonsense. Give it up for author. Give it up for motivator, Sister Yahida. Give her a round of applause.
Hello, Soul.
How's it going, sister? Good to see you. Good to see you.
It's going good. Thank you so much for having me today.
Nice, nice. This second sister I'm bringing on, y'all have seen her on the live streams before. This sister represents half of the YouTube channel Top Flight Fitness Gym, which she runs with her husband, Derek, my partner. She's a yoga instructor. She's a chef. She's an author of an upcoming cookbook, and she loves poetry, music, and conversations on relationships. Give it up for my sister, Victoria. What's going on, Vic?
Hey, hello.
Hey, good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you for having me on.
Yes, yes, yes. And this brother I'm finna bring on last is my pop. This brother is my co-pilot on the Power Circle, who's putting out fabulous content on a regular basis, exclusive content, let me add. This brother is here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex with me and is a 20-year guru in the technical business arena. He's worked for a number of Fortune 500 companies, changing the bottom line the first day he sets foot on ground, right? He's also the owner of the YouTube channel, A Toast to the Men, which is also the name of his book, which is selling off the shelves. Give it up for my brother, S.D. Booker! What's up, homie?
Howdy.
It's good. I'm so glad to have y'all on the panel. I'm telling you, when I first thought about having this type discussion, I'm telling you, y'all three names instantly popped up. I said, you know what? I got to get my sisters on there. I got to get my brothers on there. And we got to chop it up. We got to chop it up. You know, we talked, Vicky, you've been on the live stream before calling in. Yahida, you came in and added some value. But Brother Booker, you and I went live. And I'm telling you, we've all made mention that when it comes to like relationships, when it comes to, you know, why they're succeeding, why they're not, when it comes to the whole dating pool, there's a lot of things that have gone unspoken. You know, there are a lot of things that people don't wait to talk about until they get into a relationship or until they get into, you know, they're looking at divorce. And now they're trying to have all these conversations that they should have had from day one, right?
Exactly.
But in my mind, I think a lot of it can be eliminated or mitigated up front, right? So, Vicky, I'm going to go straight to you. I'm going straight to you. What are some of the red flags? I'll use that word. What are some of the red flags that you think women, at least women or people in general, should look out for that would eliminate a lot of the problems going down the road?
Okay. Well, I think first and foremost, I'm going to swing off of what you have spoken of, not only on me and Abdul's IG Live, but in your own program, when you talk about men without a purpose. I think one of the biggest red flags when you're getting to know a man is not understanding what he wants to do. Now, does this mean he has to have every little thing figured out? No, he doesn't have to have all the answers. I don't have all the answers. You guys don't have all the answers, but he needs to have a basic understanding of where he's trying to go. If you meet this man and he's just, you know, in the Madden 2K slippers on the couch every day, come on now. What can you really expect out of him trying to find a leader for your future household, for your life?
I agree. You know, it's weird because hearing you say that, and I've mentioned things along that line, and I agree with that 1,000%. I agree with that. But I'll be honest. 2 years ago, 2+ years ago, 5 years ago, that wasn't even a thought in my mind. For me personally, what I noticed was I would get into relationships, and in a short amount of time, I would notice women, like, all I can say is getting on my nerves. And really what it was like I hadn't fulfilled my purpose yet. It's like I didn't have a role for a woman. So if I didn't have a role for it, it's like, what are you doing here? I don't have anything, no, so I get that. I agree with that 100%.
Right.
I agree with that. Yeah. What do you think about that, Brother Booker or Yahida?
Yeah, I totally agree. A brother has
red flags.
He has to have a blueprint and some understanding of where he's going and who he is. Because if he doesn't know, or he's trying to figure that out when he gets with the woman, man, it's going to cause a lot of frustration from both parties. And what's going to happen is, brothers, we start pointing the finger at her. Yeah. But really, it's because you didn't take the time to understand who you are and why you're here. So I totally agree. I've been there.
Yeah. I know for me, I know one thing as far as like, and I think this is going to be pretty much be standard for everybody. When I think red flags now in this social media world, I'm instantly going to that IG page, because if that IG page, it's like if she isn't, because some women, I'll be honest, some women can hide certain sides of themselves for so long, and then eventually you'll find stuff out, whether it's 6 months, a year, whatever down the road. Mm-hmm. But I'm telling you, if whatever she puts on that IG, if she's showing that she's out on the IG, brother, she's out there. Right. like there's no way around it. I don't know any woman that's exposing herself on IG, whether it's showing butt cheeks, whether it's whatever it's doing. I don't know any woman moving like that on IG, but in real life, she's Mother Teresa. I don't know of such a woman. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So it's funny you said that, because Derek told me that when we were first getting to know each other, he immediately went, well, I didn't even have Instagram when we met. I only got on Instagram because I saw him on Instagram. But he went to my Facebook and he said he swore all the way to the bottom. He wanted to see the very first thing I had posted. And he looked at every single post from like 2014, just like, no, let me see what you, I hear what you're saying, but let me see what's going on.
Now, you know what? Not only am I looking at that, I'm looking at like how brothers come at you. Right. I'm looking at how the tone brothers use when they talking, how you respond, what you respond to, and how you respond. What are you liking? What are you hardening up? Because that lets me know who you are too. If he's coming at you, as if you a thought body and you sitting there hardening up, I'm like, okay, yeah, that's a major red flag. Like I'm saying, no woman I know can be a certain way, can be out there on IG, but in the background be a completely different person.
I agree. Yeah.
Look for red flags are huge. Another one for me. This is another one for me. I think that, and this is what I'm saying, is because I missed this a few times in my earlier years. And when I thought about it, I said, if I'd have caught that at the front, like I should have known better. I can't. A red flag to me is a person that like has no good rapport or no solid relationship with a parent if they're alive. Like if they have beef with their parents, if they have beef with their siblings all the time, I'm like, bro, that's a red flag. Like, and I know everybody's different. I know families have issues. I'm not gonna front like that. I know my family. I'm 45. Me and my sister and my mother, we've never had a falling out like that. I never cussed my mother out. I've never cussed my sister out. I'm not saying that's right on. Everybody's different. But if I meet somebody and all they have to talk about is negative on everybody in their family, all their cousins are wrong, all their sister and brother does are wrong, they're just victims, red flag. Major red flag.
I would say also to add to that, so much of also going back to what Sister Victoria said, we live in a society now, at least in the Western context, where most people don't have their family nucleus to kind of vet the people that are coming through the gate, you know what I'm saying? Like back in the day, frown on it if you want to, but people had arranged marriages.
Right.
And the reason for that was because I've seen this, your parents saw this other gentleman or other woman, grow up and see kind of some of the things that they were dealing with in their childhood and how they, overcame that or whatever. And now we live in a society where even if you have your mother and your father in your household, you may not grow up around your cousins or even really in a communal setting. So we have to rely on some of these things like Instagram, like Victoria said, and, you know, see what the person's about, you know, and then you get to a point where it's like, oh, I don't really like what I'm seeing, you know, in society, in people, you know, regarding the brothers that don't have purpose. You know, they could say all day long, oh, well, you know, I don't have this because of XYZ, like you said, so, but you're going to have to make that up at some point, especially, I would say a huge red flag before we even get into, you know, the Instagram, whatever, you know, like men needing to have a purpose is hugely important. And you can't really see that unless you spend time with that person, you know, in a communal type setting.
True. Hey, you mentioned something about arranged marriages, and I was thinking about a conversation I had with a brother. It's been well over a year. What are your thoughts on arranged marriages? If your parents came to you at, let's say, 15 years old and said, you know what, Creflo down the street.
Oh, not Creflo.
Not Creflo.
Creflo down there. Creflo that live between Eckerd's and the liquor store. He's gonna be your husband in the next 15 years. Like, okay, going back, you know, hindsight is 2020. Do you think your parents had the right judgment to pick your husband and pick your spouse going forward?
I mean, no, I've definitely asked my parents, you know, even in my latter portion, I'm like, hey, do y'all know anybody? Like, can you help me make this a little bit easier?
Dang,
You know?
yeah.
And they're like, no, we don't know anybody. So I think there's, you know, there's just been a disconnect in community, but, you know, I've seen people around the world have arranged marriages and, you know, they're lasting 30, 40 plus years. So there's got to be some validity to it, you know, even if it's not something that, you know, I have or.
Yeah, and the reason I ask is because, like, just looking back over the years, like anytime I've entertained somebody, a young lady, right, and my mom, you know, my mom and my aunts, they're gonna always pull me to the side and give me their 2 cents. It's like they're undefeated. It's like they see things when I'm like, you know what? No, like this is her. Like this is the long haul. My aunt is a savage. She'll be like, you know what? Like that ain't what you think it is. Like, go ahead and do what you do. But I'm letting you know in a little bit. So you know, when you said that, I'm thinking like, you know what? Like if my aunt had the ability to choose the person for me, even though it might not look good up front, I would have to go with it because I'm like, man, they undefeated.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, but the kid says, when a brother doesn't have purpose, side chicks in the path. I'm sorry. When a brother doesn't have purpose, side chicks is the path he drives. And yep, book blames each other for them for not getting it. You know, I agree. But you know, I agree because if a man isn't, I'm telling you, if a man isn't focused on his purpose when he's in a relationship, he's really all over the place. Right. And I'm speaking that from looking back at myself. At the time, I wouldn't have called it that. You know, but that's what it was. And we think about this, and I don't know how brothers do it. I don't know how brothers, like when you talk about relationships and you talk about people in a committed situation, right? And a man has the ability and the time to step out. What he's saying, and I'm not saying, you know, this is what I'm saying. When a man is in that position and he's doing that, he's not truly tapped in to his capability. Because this is what I know. You know, when a man is fully focused, he'll learn real quick. There aren't enough hours in the day from the get-go. So it's like more than one woman. And I'm not talking about the brothers that are into polygyny and multiple wives. I'm talking about your standard brother that has one woman and his wife, maybe they're married. If he's focused on his end goal and moving toward it, brother, I've yet to meet a man that says, you know what, I got so much extra time. Like, yeah, I'm trying to get into my entrepreneur thing. Yeah, I'm trying to write this book. Yeah, I'm trying to start this YouTube channel. But I got so much extra time, I got a side chick. You know what I'm saying? I got a few side chicks. Yeah. So I agree with Brother Kid is saying. Appreciate that Phoenix Rising for that super chat. I'm not sure if y'all can hear that effect, man. My button is messed up. I appreciate that the $10 Phoenix Rising, always adding value to the discussion. Mm-hmm. So since we're talking about social media, I want y'all's thoughts on like Instagram and committed relationships, because this is what I've always thought. Like it never really crossed my mind as far as if a woman is in a committed relationship and she's married, should she get off social media? Like that never crossed my mind. I always felt like if I'm going to get involved with a person, and if I don't trust them enough to be able to be on their phone and be in some kind of format of, I'm like, man, I'm with the wrong person. Now I do get the dangers of it. I know that once you're on social media, whether it's Facebook, whether it's the gram, whether it's the book, you have access to everybody. You have access to your third grade boyfriend. You got access to that guy that you had a crush on that you never spoke to in high school. You got access to that female that was your first. You got access to that female that knew you were in a situation, but she's always had eyes on you. What are y'all thoughts on the risk factor? Or is it safe to be on social media in a relationship? Is that something that that should be eliminated once people are in a committed situation, or what do y'all think?
You want to go first, Yahida?
Yeah. I got a lot to say on the topic because I think that it's just a huge how can I say, like, it's one of these things about our society that is just like, that you have different camps of people, right? You have some people that say, social media is great. Now we can access the entire world. I have the world at my fingertips kind of thing. And that is a beautiful thing. The world seems smaller now. But in the same movement, you also have, let's just call it what it is. The people that was out hoeing just a few decades ago on the corner are now, I gotta go there, sister. I got, they're now, men do it too, but I see mostly women that are purporting themselves to be a real woman, but it's like you have augmented your body in some way, shape, or fashion to gain the notoriety and the attention from men. And you are now being booked around the world to do whatever kinds of things people do, what they used to do in the shadows are now, front page and center. So I can be looking at maybe a school Instagram page, like some homeschool collective or something, and I scroll up just a little bit more, and now my eyes are being assaulted by a body that I may not even know, because now Instagram has that, that feature of like people you may like or something like that, or it's a lot. I don't know.
So let me ask you this: how do you feel that plays as far as like I remember on the last call you were saying, well, men say they like natural women, but when you get on the gram, you're seeing something different. Do you think brothers getting online and seeing women that have been augmented or modified, or do you think that damages the chances of the natural woman finding good men?
Most definitely, because as pornography has showed us, now you have an unrealistic expectation of what a woman is supposed to be, or how a woman is supposed to behave. I have feelings. I'm not perfect. That's the whole, like, being natural is being imperfect in a way, and if I'm competing against women that any imperfection, they have the money to go and change because they are prostitutes, like, we're again calling a duck a duck, it doesn't really help the dating situation.
Yeah, I get it, and I'll say this: like you mentioned that feature, this new feature on Instagram, brother. I'm telling you, if you don't want to see something on Instagram, whether it's kind of going to Yahida's topic. Did we lose you, Yahida?
Maybe she'll have to get back in.
Yeah, but going back to what she said, once you click on something, whether it's if you see a fine sister, she got a bikini on, she got her back turned to the camera, brother, once you click on it, for the next 30, 45 days, it's gonna be on your phone as soon as you pop it up, right?
Oh, for sure.
This is my thing when it comes to like the natural woman competing with the augmented woman. This is my thing. This is where I think a lot of people kind of get lost in the sauce. Like I think this is the thing. Like it doesn't matter how upstanding a man is, how right a man moves. A man loves the the sensuality, the sex appeal of a woman, right? And you have to understand, like before all this happened, like that was normal to see this in all women. But now that you have women online that are just super thick, that is just super posing, it's like it almost floods a man's mindset where when he thinks of this sensuality, when he thinks about this quote unquote freak in the sheets, it takes him away from the standard woman. He almost forgets that the regular woman has that in her too, because so many women are putting it on blast. So I think social media has damaged it as far as that. But no, I look at myself, man. Like for me and like what I'm attracted to. Of course, I love the physicality of a woman. But I'm sapio, man. So yeah, I mean that might draw me in as a man, but in a very short amount of time, if that mind don't click in and start switching some gears, bro, I'm gonna lose interest like ASAP.
Yeah.
Like ASAP. So I think that's the struggle. Brothers really understanding that, hey man, even though this woman isn't moving like these other sisters, like she still has that appeal, like it's there. So that's my thing as far as social media and women and seeing augmented women.
I wanted to add two things to it. One, social media has definitely harmed female self-image and kind of self-worth when you start thinking about, am I feminine enough? Am I sexual enough? Because this was something that even Derek warned me about before I got an Instagram, because he knew how I was. And he was like, Vicky, just be careful. Like, you're going to start getting page recommendations. You're going to start seeing women. And you have to remember, it's not all real. And in the beginning, when I first got Instagram, I was definitely flooded with these images of just like these stunning women. Many of them not Black, becoming what I consider caricatures of Black female natural body, things that we were once criticized and brutalized for. Now everyone else has it and it's acceptable. It's celebrated. It's sexier than when we have it. Yeah. Even though we've always had it.
Yeah.
So I was just like, damn, like I didn't even want to post selfies or anything because I'm like, oh, I got a pimple. Now you go on my Instagram, I don't care. My latest selfie, I had 3 pimples.
Dang it.
Pimple. Oh well, no filter.
Yeah.
So
I remember back in the day. And I say back in the day, I remember, I don't know, 10 years ago, maybe 12 years. I remember when women first started getting enhanced. Like I remember like when breast enhancement they came, and it was like, okay, that's wild. But when booties first started, every single woman that got it was like a joke. It was like, is she serious? She got the baby thighs and the big butt. It's like, man. But now that's
not even proportionate, right?
Oh, now they don't even care. They don't. And the thing is, like, I don't think it affects men as much. I think if it affects men, it's more on the status of what I have and what I'm driving and look at my chick. I don't think men really like if a brother gets online and he has a 6-pack, like it doesn't affect me any. Right. If he's ripped, I'm not saying, oh dang, I can't post a picture because bro, like real men just don't get affected by other men's physicality.
You should not. So I'm telling you, like my stint working at Breathe More, being in that high-end gym and seeing like all the people using enhancements and gear and the injections and no. And then being at Equinox, no, you're not missing nothing.
It's crazy. It's a crazy thing.
Then what was there was another part I wanted to add. Oh, well, the good parts of social media. If you allow it and you're like a little more careful about what you allow on your feed, who you decide to follow, the networking capacity is just limitless. All the amazing people you can meet, all the amazing companies that are making quality products that you would have never heard about, because who watches TV commercials anymore? Like, that element of social media, Instagram specifically, has just been fantastic. I found so many companies and amazing people and different groups and humanitarian efforts and all kind of stuff that's like, if it wasn't for Instagram, I never would have found this. So I don't regret that at all.
Very true. I agree with that. Matter of fact, I do most of my shopping instead of just Googling random things. I'd much rather buy from people on social media, because I can click on their page and see more about them, see more about what they're about, what they're into.
Yes.
Like, and that's really how we're doing. When it comes to branding, we're buying from people. So there's definitely a plus to that, right?
Yeah.
And I want to swap to this. Let's say we get past the red flags, right? What I think a lot of people get I won't say confused. It's not a confusion. I think one of the things that goes that's not being discussed, rather, is what it means to build with a person. Because this is the thing. If we talk about a man, like, a man shouldn't, get into a relationship, or a man's relationship won't be as healthy as it should be if he's not focused on his end goal. So the thing is, like when a woman comes into his life, well, let me ask you this, Vicky. Like when you hear a man say, I want a woman that's going to build with me. Well, I'm sure Derek had that conversation. Like, I want to build something, V. Like, what does that mean when you hear that?
Well, when Derek and I had that conversation, I didn't translate it as it's going to be exactly 50-50. For every dollar he makes, I need to make the exact same dollar. It was, I'm trying to build, I'm looking for a helpmate. And this is how I feel a solid woman can fit into that space. This is how I feel she can help me do X, Y, and Z. And that was very important to me. I wanted to know what was the plan very early on, because as you know, so like when I met Derek, he didn't have money. He was a man on a mission. He was building, like, he was in a position that many other women would have easily overlooked him because he didn't have it all right now, and he wasn't offering it all on a platter up front. No work required. I'm just going to give it to you because you showed up to the table.
I agree with that. Like, you hit two heavy points. As far as one was definitely what it means to build. Like I think, and that's going to be different for everybody.
Right.
That's different for everybody. Like for some people, it may be come in and have a 50-50. It may be a 60-40. It may be, I want you to come in and do certain roles, like domestic roles, and I handle that, but you handle all this other stuff. It's going to be different. SD, I know you and Sister y'all and your channel, man. I'm telling you, when y'all go on YouTube and put the content out together, I love it, brother. And I know at some point y'all had this discussion. What was that like? Maybe not your personal conversation, but like when you talk about when y'all came into your life and you was like, you know what, I want a woman that's going to help me build. What did that look like for you?
Wow, man, that's a great question. I just uploaded a video about a young guy I dated 2 years prior to meeting my wife, who was wealthy but not agreeable, or I'll say cooperative, right?
Yeah.
I'll say that. So I knew I needed someone that was going to be I could cooperate with, be cooperative. I know a lot of people don't like the word submissive, but cooperative, submissive, same thing. So I knew that's what I needed. And as far as the money, I never thought about money. I didn't care how much a woman made, anything like that. I always had confidence in myself as far as that's concerned. But just be peace. Be peace when I get home, and be that sound mind that I bounce ideas off of. That was my thing. That's what I needed.
Yeah. I think it's important, and I don't think it's one person's responsibility over the other to have this conversation. Like when a man is when a woman is coming to a man's life, I think a man has to be comfortable, telling a woman like where she could fit in, like what expectations. Like this is what I expect from you. This is this this is what I would like to see, and vice versa.
Right.
A woman has to feel comfortable saying, hey, you know what? Like, okay, we're coming together. We're joining forces. We're becoming one person. I'm telling you, there are a lot of conversations. People make that decision, and there are a lot of conversations that just aren't had.
Right.
As far as finances, as far as like you mentioned earlier, Victoria, love languages,
Yes.
and a plethora of other things. A lot of people just assume that these things are given, or these things we'll just cross those bridges when we get to them. But man, we have to have those conversations. When a woman is coming to your life, you need to know what kind of debt she has. When vice versa, you need to know if a man is spending, $10 a month on whatever, gambling habit, all that stuff, man. And people just aren't having those conversations. I know as you spoke on.
Oh, and 1 second, so I actually wanted to address a comment I saw. Immaculate Mentality. He said she is an anomaly for dating a man at the bottom. Most women would not do that.
Vicky, you have to speak on that. You have to speak on that, your whole situation, because it's heavy.
Right. So first things first, thank you for your comment in the chat. So, meeting Derek, a little about his background. He is an engineer by education, things like that. His company went under, and then he started training at Equinox to make money. And we were introduced to each other at Equinox. Now, Equinox is, high level luxury gym, and you have the potential to make lots of money. A lot of the trainers make like 6 figures, but you have to work very hard to get there. It's not just come in and just because you used to be in the NFL, you're going to make 6 figures out the gate. There were a lot of people, including NFL players, who tried to train at Equinox and didn't make it because they came in with this like little machismo, like, oh, do you know who I am? And they didn't want to work. So Derek started at the bottom with old school blue shirts and cleaning up the floor, picking up weights and stuff. And so when we were getting to know each other, we had those conversations up front. Like, I see you here, but like, where are you trying to go? Do you have debt? He asked me, do you have debt? Do you have student debt? Because he knew we both went to college. So all those conversations that a lot of people don't want to have with each other in the beginning, we were not afraid to dive into it right off the bat, like even asking certain questions about, ideology. Are you for Black empowerment? Am I detecting any coon language? We were having all those conversations like up front, like, do you like to drink? How much do you like to drink?
Yeah.
Do you like party drugs? All kind of things that a lot of people don't even figure out until they're well into a relationship years down the line. We were talking about like literally within the first couple of weeks. So that let me know we had a proper foundation to move forward into dating more exclusively. And I knew talking to him, getting to know him, his mind, and not having sex, just getting to know each other, I knew, okay, this is somebody that even though I met him, when he's at a certain space, he's not going to stay here. His mind is too strong. His will is too powerful. Like,
that's what I was going to ask you. That's what I was going to ask you right there, because see, I know a lot of brothers that aren't in the position that they want to be in, but they're like they've established it. Like they set that anchor in the ground and they're moving there. Like, and I was going to ask you, there he is, brother Derek. What's going on, homie?
What's good?
Yeah, we sitting here talking about you, man. I love.
I felt my ears ringing, so I decided to jump in.
Yeah. Well, what I was going to ask you, Vicky, like what things did you see in Derek to say, you know what? Okay, he's not where he wants to be, but like I see that he set his anchor and he's going toward his goal. What elements should a woman look for? And the reason I'm asking that is this, because there are a lot of sisters that are saying, "Hey, I want a good man. I want a good man," and they'll go and mess with the brothers that are moving a different way than they would like. When solid brothers are shooting their shots at them, but they don't see the signs that you saw. So what signs should women look for?
So one of the signs I saw was the work ethic. That was a big one for me. When Derek was on his way up to making 6 figures, Derek was sleeping in the car. He was sleeping in the car because to drive home meant driving 1 hour each way. And he wanted to make sure he was on time at 4 a.m. to be in the gym to train his client, right? Who was the CEO of whatever. So he would sleep in his car in the parking garage, shower at the gym to make sure he was on time. And he would be one of the last people to leave. So 1 was the work ethic. 2, I saw that he wasn't spending money frivolously, like trying to look like some BET joke. Like he wasn't always in new shoes. He wasn't always in like the freshest whatever, but he always like kept himself together. It wasn't always like the flyest fits, but his body was still maintained. Mm-hmm. He liked to eat healthy, and also he would stand on his square about a lot of things. Mm-hmm. Because like other female employees, they would try to throw themselves at him and he'd never mix business and pleasure. He didn't take it. And at Equinox, there's some bad trainers, like bad.
You gotta have some discipline for sure. You get in trouble real quick.
And so, and all the flavors too, the vanilla, the caramel, the chocolate, the mocha. I mean, they just be throwing it at you. It's like a whole free for all in there. Yeah. So he had discipline. That was a big one for me because I would see these women that I thought personally were more beautiful and fitter than me would be throwing themselves at him, and he didn't take it. He didn't make an ass of himself at work. Yeah. He didn't embarrass himself.
Yeah. I'm gonna ask Derek the same question. Mm-hmm. Like with you being in that situation, bro, where you like, you know what? Okay, I'm like, I see where I'm going now. I know that I'm not where I want to be. Like, what did you see in Victoria to say, you know what? I got a long road to go, but this is the woman I want to bring with me. Because this is the thing, when you're down, when you bring a woman on your team, 9 times out of 10 you're gonna stay down because 90% of the women aren't built a certain way. So what did you see in Victoria to make you say, hey, you know what? This is the one right here.
So I'm no stranger to dating. And I've dealt with a lot of women coming up before I met Vicky. And one thing that I realized was she was good at conversation. She knew how to work a room. Like, you can talk about anything. I've been with different women that they are like a brick. They don't know how to talk to no one but you. And I like to have someone that if I go somewhere, she can represent me and herself without me having to be hovering over her, you know, so she was independent, but not that independent in the way a lot of women talk about today. Mm-hmm. But more so just she doesn't need me. She wants me around versus needing me around. If I didn't shoot my shot at Vicky, she would have been just fine. And I would have been just fine, vice versa. It's not so much that we needed each other, we wanted each other. And that's where a lot of people be messing up. So I would say the first thing that men would really need to pay attention to is knowing who you are in yourself. I've won before in a lot of different aspects of life. And I know what it feels like to win. And even though I wasn't financially where I wanted to be, I had been financially set before I came to this gym. And women... I'll say this. I know a lot of guys talk about women don't really check for them because they're not making a certain amount of money. But that's the thing. I know for a fact when I was making $125 checks every 2 weeks, early on, women did not care that I was making so little because I had a purpose. I had a purpose and I had a plan. And when I met Vicky and officially started talking to her, I told her my plan, what I plan on doing. No matter who I was with, where I was going to go, this is what I plan on doing. And then as I got to know her better, I realized she was a great compliment to where I wanted to go in my life. So you need to also know who you're dealing with, because just like Vicky said, there was a lot of other women that were shooting their shot and throwing themselves at me, but they didn't fit where I needed a woman or wanted a woman to be, you know? So that's
I get
your question.
Yeah, it did, man, and it's crazy because when you think about like in today's time, you know, it's to the point now where like if the majority of people have their own careers, and I think a lot of things that hinder relationships getting together is money. And when I say money, what I mean is if a woman is making $7 an hour, if a man is making $6.90, she said nope, because now it's money over everything. I like the way brother SD put it. He says money over marriage. You know what I'm saying? So I think a lot of it is like when a lot of women aren't even built to step into just like we say, a man needs to have his purpose. Like that's a must. A woman needs to be able to step into a certain role too. So it goes both ways.
I want to add to that. So
yes, sir.
I think men need to understand this. The brother who Victoria was responding to, who made the comment, her husband, how you doing, brother? Her husband's energy drew her to him. A lot of brothers, it doesn't matter in the big scale of things, big picture of things, how much you make, but he was confident. He knew who he was. He knew his potential. He knew where he was headed. So the confidence, no matter how much he was making, the confidence was on 10. And so she knew what he was about, where he was headed. She knew his potential. Now, if you supposedly are not making what you want to make, and then you don't have confidence either, a woman's going to see that too. Man, she has nothing to hold on to, man. You don't have confidence either. So you can't even see it. If you can't see it, she can't see it.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And Booker, there was someone at Equinox, some wealthy guy. He had a freaking castle overseas. Just lame as a bucket of shrimp. Just so dull, so boring. Just like it wouldn't even matter. It's like this man with a dang on castle couldn't pay me to go across the street and sit down and have lunch with him.
There you go.
I was gonna speak to that too, sis. Like I wouldn't say that it's about the money. Although I guess in the Western capitalistic context, sure, we can call it money. Right. But I think it's more so about no matter in what scenario we're in, are we going to be able to make it? So even if we're homeless on the street, you going to still, cut a little flower for me so that I know that you love me. Yeah. Like I think it's more so that for the right woman is I don't necessarily care how much you have, but where's your heart in the matter? Are you just so focused on get the money that you forget that there's a day-to-day procedure that we have to take with each other? Like brother, like you spoke about with Victoria, that you could step away and she could do her thing and she would be okay. I think it's also the same for women. Like, okay, I don't want to hover over you because I'm not your mother. I don't want to, mother you. But are you able to do certain things that are, no matter what level of money you have, is going to show me that you are the man with the gold in his pocket.
Absolutely. Because you know what? It could go at any time.
Yeah.
Like I met Derek and he wasn't at his best and we're rising. But I'm very aware in the back of my mind, everything we've done, it could be taken like that. People tell me on Instagram, oh my God, like what y'all are doing, investment properties and all this stuff. That's amazing. It's like, it's just a house. And shit, so anything could happen. This house, that land, it could be gone tomorrow. Yeah. But what do we have before we had that?
Correct. Yeah. You have to have some level of direction. Like I flipped the money that I was getting at Equinox. Like when I went from not making anything to making a lot. And I started doing stuff with it. I started an investment portfolio. I started going to classes, taking classes to become a better trainer. I got my engineering resume done up real nice. I mean, honestly, I could have stayed at Equinox. The amount of money I was making, most people probably wouldn't have left. But the thing is I have a bigger goal than just training forever. Because I gotta physically put my body on the line every day. I gotta be there at 4 a.m, and sometimes I gotta be there late at night. But luckily, once you do get to a certain point, I got to a point where it was like I was done by 1.
Mm-hmm.
But at 1 o'clock hit, now I'm focusing on my stuff. And then once Vicky got involved, then I was focusing on stuff for us.
Yeah.
And I had to be able to, and I attribute this, the reason why Vicky was able to trust me was I was able to, everything that I told her I was going to do, I did.
Mm.
I don't make promises that I can't keep.
Yeah.
And I feel a lot of men mess that up. I was always upfront about when I wasn't making the money. I was always upfront. She wanted to go out to eat or something. I'm like, yeah, a lot of times I won't say nothing. But if I knew my money was low, I'm like, hey, if you want to pay for us to go out to dinner tonight, that's fine. Yeah. But just know that I'm not paying because I can't right now. Yeah. Exact words. Yeah. And I know a lot of men, they don't have the confidence to feel okay to say that. Yeah. Because they were all raised in households where a man was like killing himself to put up a facade. I didn't grow up that way. Yeah. You know, but I saw people around me. My thing is it is what it is. But just know I'm always gonna take care of you. And even when I did hit the 6 figures and beyond, I told her when I did hit that, our lives are gonna change. And did our lives change, Vicky?
Yeah, it did, for the better.
Then I said,
I've watched it change. So
yeah, you have.
Yeah, over the years, you literally I've seen it go from Houston to where y'all at, Connecticut?
We're in Rhode Island.
Okay, the taxes are better than Connecticut,
and the weather.
Yeah, I've seen the transition. I like what Jordan said. Jordan Smith said, "So this is my thing. Why should a woman deserve the fruits of my labor once I'm fully in my purpose? If not one woman has been by my side 27 years of this journey, why should I get rich and wife a 304?" You know what? You know what though? Brother is speaking. I can feel where he's coming from. Think about it. Think about this, man. Yeah. And I've had this come to my mind. You know, you go through all your hard times, all your solid, your solid developments, and you evolve, and then you get to where you want to get. You're comfortable in life. You have a bag to sit on. You can relax a little bit. You can see the world. So the brother saying, what in other words, and correct me if I'm wrong, Brother Smith. He said, why should I just let any sister, regardless of how she moves, just come in and fit that role? Like why should she get that reward? I mean, everybody doesn't move like Derek. Like Derek was at his lowest when him and Vic got together, and they kind of built something together. But what do y'all think what the brother's saying? I mean, in my opinion, it just means that a woman has to get vetted 10 times harder. She has to go through so many, and then there's a little time window in there because I believe anybody can put up a front for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, maybe even a year. I don't know. But at some point in time, that real person will come out. So I want to get you brothers or you brothers and sisters opinion on that. What do you think about a man getting the bag and then choosing a woman after the fact?
Can I answer this one?
No, go ahead.
Yes, sir.
So I totally hear what he's saying, but it's not so much about does she deserve it? It's more so about who do you choose? Mm-hmm. If you got to remember at the end of the day, you choose the women that are going to be in your life.
Facts.
Just because a woman comes your way, just because a woman is like, hey, we can go out back right now, doesn't mean you need to take it. You know what I'm saying? And it kills me because I know so many men that they do get a little something and it's not even that much, but it's a little something. And a woman throws it at them. They kind of just give the woman everything. Mm. She's gotta earn your benefits.
Yeah.
But you need to put that in her face. Like, you want to be in my life. Ooh. You got to do A, B, C, D, and you got to wipe my feet and clean my shoes and all the crazy stuff. Yeah. No. It's just, she's going to, Vic, did I ever tell you exactly? Did I ever like verbatim, like, if you want
this is how to do it? No, you didn't tell me.
That's exactly. Where I feel a lot of men be messing up is.
But hold on, she got to be wiping the feet, babe.
Wiping the feet.
Oh.
But to finish it up, it's just she has to have something to work for with you.
I do feel that's where we go. Our community, our Black community goes very wrong. I feel like the men give too much up front and don't put the woman through through the gauntlet. But women will flip the script and give men what we call shit tests all day long. But y'all won't give us the test.
Let me add this. I know for a fact I wanted a woman that was fit, liked to exercise, was cultured, and liked to do things outside. So what did I do? Our first date, I said, hey, I want to take you to Texas Rock Gym for rock climbing. If she said no, if she would, I don't want to sweat on a date, or I'm afraid of heights, whatever. Right then and there, I'm like, okay, you already you missed out on the first step. Mentally, I don't gotta tell her that, but mentally, it's like, okay. But she did, and then we went and rock climbed for like 4 hours. 4 hours. We was there so long and talking. They was like, man, y'all been climbing all day. We was tired. And then as soon as that date finished, I set up the next date. I want a woman that's cultured. She mentioned 2 times she likes wine. So I said, hey, next Saturday, let's go to the tasting room over in the Galleria. It's a wine bar or whatever. She already knew about it. I was kind of new. I'm not much of a wine drinker, but now I do drink it because of her. And we went there. She had good conversation. We didn't have to have something distract us. Right. And everything that we did was always a situation where we had an opportunity to talk and get to know each other.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of cell phone play and pictures and all that. And then from there, sushi. And then from there, movies, all those different things, going to the park. Mentally in my head, Vicky was checking off all the things that I required from a woman, and I didn't have to tell her. I just had to present the opportunity to prove to me that you're real.
Yeah.
And that's what
and I can say this. I can even say that I've been guilty in my life. I've been guilty of giving up certain privileges or whatever you want to call it too early. Like I've been guilty of that. So I understand that. Let me ask y'all this though. Let me ask y'all this. Like with the way the world is going now, like I can say this, easily all the women that the women I've dated over the last small handful of years, 90% of those I've met these women online. I don't know if it's because I don't get out and be in certain places. I don't know what it is, but I just meet a lot of people online, right? How much of a person's past do you think you should know? But and the reason I say that is because you can get on someone's Instagram now, and even if a woman isn't dotted out online, there's still, we're all grown, we're all over 30 years old. There's still a number of years that go without being answered for. How much of that information do y'all as people reveal about yourselves, and how much do you expect for other people to reveal about themselves?
It's a good question, man.
In other words, can you forgive? I mean, in other words, can you? Does what a person is that a deal breaker if a person moved in an odd way in the past, or what do you do with that info?
Wow.
Anybody? How much of a person's past should you know?
Yahida, you want to go on that one?
I really want to hear what Brother Booker has to say about that.
Okay. Let's.
I got what I want to say, but I really want to hear what the men have to say, because I think more so men have issues. Maybe.
Right. Let me say this. I'll say this. Go ahead, Book.
Yeah, I'm kind of different, man. I believe in being transparent, and now, of course, I don't want a garden tool, right?
Yeah.
Or a history of that.
Yeah.
But man, I understand she had a life before me. You know what I'm saying? I understand that. So let's be open about everything. So my wife, we had a lot, man. That's just people probably have, man. So we're just very transparent. We were like that from day one, but I knew I needed that in my next relationship.
Yeah.
I knew where I had failed in the past. A lot of secrets, withholding stuff, both parties. So I said, this next relationship that's serious, we got to be transparent, and I'm going to set the table for that. So yeah, we talk about a lot, man, from a non-judgmental standpoint.
Yeah, my thing, me personally, man, this is what I've learned over a number of years. When I meet a woman and she puts herself off to be again like a Mother Teresa, that's almost a red flag. I won't say it's a red flag, but it heightens my awareness. It's like, no, it's like everybody has at least a small period of not moving right. So I actually respect a woman a little bit more when she can come and say, hey, you know what? Back when I was 22, like, man, I was tripping for a minute. I can respect that, bro. I really can. The thing is, it's not an easy thing to hear because when you get with a woman, like you want her to be untouched. You want her to be the first guy that that's the ideal. But like you say, man, it's like once you're in your, once you're 30, once you're 40, it's like, man, I know she's dated and been in relationships and maybe been married. But my thing is, I just like when a woman is honest. When she can share a little dirt with me, and dirt might not be, I mean, I'm not saying she was out there just wilding out. She was a straight 304. But I'm saying she's like, you know what, man, like I went through a period of time where I was messing with some wrong dudes, and I can respect that as a man. I really can.
I agree.
Yeah. So I think a person's history is important, and this is also what I've learned. Like a lot of people aren't going to be upfront about saying, hey, you know what, this is what I did, at this point in my life. This is what I did. A lot of people won't say that, but I can tell you this: if you're observant, and if you can listen to a person long enough, and if you have the ability to take data and store it, and a week later take more data and store it and build a picture, they don't have to tell you what they did. You can almost just put it together. So you know what? Okay, I can see periods in your life where you were moving kind of funny. Like some stuff just don't add up. So, but even then, it comes down to a person being honest. But I don't know.
Can I add to that?
Please.
So I think when it comes to the transparency and everything, it's different with each person. Every woman shouldn't treat every man like the last, and every man shouldn't treat every woman like the last. There's some people that we all know that probably had a 304 history, and then now they're totally different. My thing is you could have that bad past. What are you doing now? Does she give off? And speaking from a man's perspective, if I'm gonna hear the history, does she give off a lot of those tendencies that she could go back to it? I think that's what's more important versus just, I was a 304 back in the day. Well, it's like, okay, you was that, but now you've kind of grown from it versus someone that's never had no experience. I'll say like a good example. Sometimes when men, we know this, whenever they get a little something, it kind of goes to their head a little bit. Mm-hmm. And you kind of abuse the power and the blessings that you might have, but that was already in you, versus someone that could have the same thing, or versus someone that's kind of used to seeing A, B, C, and D from women, or for women, A, B, C, and D from men. That doesn't pull them no more. I'm not gonna walk off with someone just because she, flashed or whatever. Or
Let me ask you this. Saying that, I get what you're saying, but this is the ultimate question, and I know some brothers want to ask this in the chat.
All right. Can
you turn a 304 into a housewife?
Like I said, I think that is straight up. What's the word? I can't think of the word. Case by case. 9 times out of 10, personally, no. I'm not gonna go over a woman that's if she's been with 100 people or whatever. But you got some guys that they think a woman is a 304 and she only had 3 partners. True. You know what I'm saying? Ooh. Or kiss someone or sloppy toppy, whatever. They did something, but it's kind of like, but dude, you've had sex with over 25 chicks in the past 6 months. Yeah. Who's the real? You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna ask you that question, Yahida. So if you meet a young brother and he has a past, he has, he comes out and tell you, like, you know what, like I've been wilding out the last decade. Like every other weekend, I was clubbing and bringing, one night stands. I have, maybe, 7 children by 6 different women. I never wanted to get married and whatever. Just a laundry list of whatever people can think of, whatever that is. I don't know. Yeah. But he says, you know what? You are the one for me. You are the stars and the, he comes with the whole line. Did you say, okay?
I'm sure Future told all his baby mamas that.
Exactly.
So y'all saying you don't? Are you saying that a brother can't change?
I'm saying that, okay, just let's talk about the fact of the baby mama situation.
Okay.
I think that's a separate conversation, but I feel like what good men want is not any different than what good women want. And when I was hearing the brother speak, I think let's also bring into the conversation, there are still virgins in the world. Even if we don't know them, there are still virgins in the world, and I don't know how they
let me ask you this, over the age of 30?
I don't know any of these people.
I actually know.
You know a few.
Well,
okay.
No, just one now. I know. Okay. I actually know a 40-year-old virgin female. I do.
Wow.
I do.
That. So like, I don't know what is the psyche of that person. I know as somebody that, does have a past, I don't want anybody to judge me for it.
No.
You have to, that's part of human life, is judging. Like, I have to judge if the stove is too hot, so I don't put my hand there. Like that's part of what we have to do to survive. So I think a good man doesn't want to, 304, and I don't want a 304. True. I think there are a lot of men that have had experience with women, particularly, I don't understand some of these podcasts where they're like, oh yes, all of the, there's all these women that are 304s now, but it's like the women aren't just having sex with themselves, they're having sex with men. Yeah. So that means that there's 304s that are men.
Yeah.
I don't personally want to marry a 304 because, as the brother said, I don't know, your capability of being removed from that anymore. That may be concrete for me to see, but it may be, Decepticon energy as well. And I don't know if that person is, still capable of going into that lifestyle. I think it's a case by case basis.
I see you scratching your head, Book.
I would like to add.
I think there's a difference between a man having many partners and a woman having many partners.
Elaborate.
It's a difference, and it's been proven. It's been scientifically proven that every man a woman has slept with, his DNA is in her body.
Facts.
Okay, that's a fact. Secondly, I believe in womb imprint. The first 1, 2, 3 guys a woman has slept with has imprinted her womb. It's in her psyche. So that's why you got to know, does she have a type? What has she dated in the past? Because even though she might be with you, do you resemble the first 3 guys she slept with? Because unless she's had a cleansing, a new birth has been reborn, man, that guy is in her psyche. She's drawn to that. And that's real, man. I've seen it.
Bro, this is very true, man. This is very true. First, I'm going to read what Darvell Wilson, Brother Wilson said, the past is the past. All women need guidance. With that said, I want her to present herself as is on that particular day.
Because 9 out of 10, she's not. Let me add this too. Let's say if she. Because when I think 304, I'm thinking super high numbers. Yeah. Like I said, like if you're a guy that's only been like 1 or 2 chicks, a woman that's had 1, 2, or 3 boyfriends might be mentally too much for you. There's a big component of that where, help me out, baby. I lost my train of thought. Shoot.
What I wanted to add in the meantime is that a lot of people say that they want the truth, but then you're punished or you're harshly judged or cast aside for telling the truth. And to me, I feel like, I don't think any person on the planet just shares every little detail about their entire life. But I can speak from experience. I felt it was very important to share a lot of my darkest chapters with Derek, because I felt he needed to fully understand what he was getting into. But Derek also showed me that he had the maturity to hear what I was going to say.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't have that. They sit here and I want the truth. Then you say it, you talk about the childhood, you talk about molestation, you talk about having a stint when you did some drugs, you talk about being in a homosexual relationship, and the person can't handle it. So it's like, so you didn't really want the truth. You just kind of wanted like your ego stroked or something. You just wanted dirt. You just wanted whatever. But
a way out or something.
I felt, to me, it was like, let me just tell you things that if you heard later down the line, you're not going to be shocked. So that way, if for some reason you learn about stuff from my past childhood, you learn about my relationship with a woman, all this kind of stuff, you're not going to be surprised about it later, because I'm telling you up front, this is what happened during this chapter of my life, and this is why I went through these things.
And a man would much rather hear it from
ready for
Yes.
the answer that you get.
You need to be ready for the answer.
She hit the nail on the head. I couldn't think of how to put it. You got to be willing to take whatever the answer is. If you ask for the truth, be ready for it on both ends. I had to be cognizant of Vicky's past so that I know how to operate. And let's just be real. Everyone doesn't come to a table, yo, I'm a 304. No, how's the person carrying himself now? If she never told you, would you ever know? Now, if she was she ain't never been, but if she was out in the streets, she should probably let you know, hey, little by little, I had a little bit of past, blah, 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 but that's behind me now, whatever. So that someone doesn't come up to that man and then tells him, hey, man, I seen your girl on the corner, about 3-4 years ago.
Or nowadays, the corner is the OnlyFans.
Yeah. So you should, anything, you know what, in a nutshell, anything that would be damning if found out in the future for whatever reason, those are the things that I feel you should probably share.
Yeah.
Those are the big things.
I would say to that as well. There was a gentleman I was speaking to recently, maybe like 6 months ago or whatever. He flat out told me, because I told him my past about being in a homosexual relationship. And he flat out told me, he was like, I don't want nothing. I don't want no parts, with that. And he explained to me why, and I understood he was, I think, married at a particular point in time. And the woman, he attributes to the reason why she cheated because she was in this relationship. She was in a homosexual relationship before, they were together. And so I understand that hurt was present for him. So I didn't take it personally, but at the same time, it's just like, it made me take a few steps back. Like, did I do the right thing by telling him?
Oh, yeah.
Did I disclose too much? And my lasting thought about that whole notion is like, the right one for me is not going to lord that over me. Like Sister Victoria said, they're not going to make me feel like, because then you also have men that dog out older women because they're not married yet or whatever. But it's like, they don't take into consideration that maybe I was sexually assaulted in my early to mid 20s, which is if you look at statistics,
very prevalent nowadays.
You look at statistics, 18 to, I think it's 24 years old. That's the highest probability of a woman being sexually assaulted. So you have a bunch of women that have been assaulted in their late teens, early 20s. And now I'm 32, right? I may have had that cleansing moment, like Brother Booker said, but that you can't like, how can I say, like, you can't make somebody get over their trauma quicker. It's how they get over it. And so that is, for me, is going to be able to, the right one is going to be able to hold that space, and let me flourish in the healing.
I agree. But I will say this though. Like what Derek said. Well, if you ask a question, like, you got to be willing to get that answer. I agree with that. But just because you asked and somebody told you, like, I don't think a man or a woman is wrong after you said something. They say, you know what, like, I really don't want to deal with that.
Right.
And that's their choice.
Yeah, I think
it's
it's
giving the
fair
person the choice, the opportunity to make a decision. If this is what they want.
And that's what's so scary about it, is knowing that if I tell you about my past, having a relationship with a woman before, maybe drugs or whatever, knowing that me telling you I could lose you.
Yeah.
But I'm deciding to be upfront anyway.
Yeah. And the good thing is once you tell them, it's like now that's out. Now it's like now we can deal with that knowing. So there's a freedom associated with it too. But let me say this, what Brother Booker said, because he said something and we went by it real quick, but it's a real thing. And I think you called it imprint. Bro. Yeah. I'd say this, man, like I can remember like there were at least like 2 women that I was with in my earlier, like young. And even though like these women, we went our own separate lives and they got married and had kids. Once you talk about factoring in the whole social media thing, like once we connected just on like, hey, I ain't seen you in some years, there was a bond there that couldn't be removed. So when you talk about like women with their past and men with the past and all this stuff, like there's a reason why men, of course, desire virgins, like there's a reason, because a woman literally is connected with that man. And that's a real thing, that 99.9% minus Victoria's 140-year-old virgin friend, the 99% of people got to say, you know what? I have to understand that she's been with a woman, and I have to understand that even if she's a 5% woman, she still has a bond with some man, probably. That's a real thing, bro.
Well, the woman is earth, and she's a receiver, and your man plants his seed in her. Mm-hmm. That DNA just doesn't disappear, man. So, I mean,
and she's probably going to have traits about that guy that you'll never know.
Exactly.
That's a real thing, man. It's just something that, to be honest, society has to say, you know what? We understand that's what life is now.
Yeah, she can overcome it, but you got to be honest. You got to be straightforward, because when you keep stuff hidden, man, that's deception and that's manipulation. You're trying to steer someone a certain way because you don't want to lose them.
Yeah.
Right? But then these tendencies start coming out over time. And guys like, when y'all really could work through this, if you be straight up, hey.
Yeah, it's all about being honest, man. That's really what comes down to. Because like if I have like certain parts of my past that once I get to a certain point, me and a woman chopping, that I'll let it be known, like, hey, this is something that I go through. This is something that I'm dealing with in life. Like, you know these things, because when I start moving a certain way, you need to know what's taking place. Right. Communication, bro, is everything. And again, a lot of these conversations, people, they just aren't able to have. They aren't able to have these conversations.
And not to make an excuse for it, but I do acknowledge that this time, this space that we're in right now, I would say over the last like 5 to 10 years, maybe, we really have started a small, like little revival movement of acknowledging generational trauma, beginning these very deep conversations of healing. I mean,
yes.
So I've been dealing with the last few years, dealing with legal stuff from the death of my father. And all kind of skeletons have been coming out the closet, all kind of BS. And it's like, the more you dig, the more you realize it's just person after person after person, never acknowledging or confronting or taking accountability for anything.
True.
And passing this on to the next generation, hurting and scarring and wounding them spiritually.
True. And
then these babies go and have babies and hurt and scar and wound them. And around we go in this disgusting cycle. And I personally don't feel that we've been having these conversations for a super long time.
True.
Like just in the grand scheme of things.
I'm gonna pause right there. I'm gonna take a 60-second break. And when I come back, I want to dive into traumas, because trauma is huge.
Heavy. Yeah.
Huge. Take a quick break.
Okay.
He gives actual quotes that you probably never even heard before. He said that Henry Ford was aware of it, all of them aware of it. This is the secret inner teachings that that Napoleon Hill was not necessarily able to give out. This is one of the things that's missing from the secret. You are actually a broadcast tower that's broadcasting energy into the universe. And you wonder why you get the results you get and the people show up in your life, because it's what you're broadcasting.
The thing, it took me the longest out, when things weren't going my way, I was like, you know what? There's something I'm not doing. And I was trying to figure out what that thing was. I would go to these books and say, you know what am I not doing? What do these people know that I don't know? What do I see people that are succeeding? Like, what do they know that I don't know? Our brothers, for y'all that aren't familiar, that was promo for the Power Circle. The Power Circle is man, I don't know how better to explain it than brother, just men moving in solid directions. We come together on Sundays and chop it up about a number of things. Brothers in that room are growing. Brothers are experiencing life-changing events every single week. Brother Booker that you see on the screen is actually one of the ambassadors. He's definitely one of the. He puts lots of exclusive content on. Power Circle is a powerful thing. I would advise you, brother, to check it out right now. We have a 7-day free trial. So look at the link in the description box on one of my YouTube channels, and you'll see that. Before we took the break, we were talking about traumas, and I see Aunt Boogie. I see you on deck in there, brother. We're gonna bring you on in a sec, brother. Talking about traumas. Let me go and bring you on real quick. Aunt. What's going on, brother?
What's going on, my man? How's everybody doing?
Man,
Peace.
life is good, brother. What's on your mind today?
Oh man. First of all, it's good seeing y'all. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yes, sir.
And so finally we get a chance to see each other face to face from the podcast we did a couple weeks ago. But as you're talking about with trauma, I think that's something that's so important that we don't ever understand, particularly when it came into the Black community. And Victoria, you were touching on it. And before we went into the break, I think that now, to add to your point, and now when we started hearing about this trauma, is when we started to finally delve into this. Unfortunately, when with the killing of Black men and Black women through police brutality and other forms, and it's sad to say that it took that finally to now no longer hear the stigma of, if you go into therapy or anything, something's wrong with you. No, now that's being accepted in our community in this day and time. So it took some time, but now it's becoming normalized in our community. And I think, Victoria, when you said that with I believe you said your father passing, that now the trauma that came out of it, and the same thing, I can definitely relate to you, because the same thing happened with me. Learning about after my pops passes, like, you're hearing all this crap come out, and you're like, where was this when I was this age? Why are you now telling me in my 30s or 40s? Exactly. And I think that even it compounds, because now it's hard for you to go through those things, because now as you grow older, you got married, kids, if you have kids or whatever, you're trying to now push all that aside and now come into navigate this trauma all of a sudden. It's like a blind side.
Right.
I think we really just started using this word trauma in the last, like Victoria said, in the last handful of years. Like, I think prior to 2016, at least for the people in my circle, the people that I know, we wasn't even calling it trauma. I think everybody was just trying to own their faults and just try to strong on their way through. Not saying, hey, you know what? Why do I move like this? Why do I think like this? Kind of like you said, and like going back to childhood traumas. And it's crazy, bro. I'm gonna tell you this. Like me and my mother, I keep a picture of mother on my desk, man. My mother's like the absolute bomb, bro. Me and my mother, like, we're close, man. Not to the point where we talk every day. If we talk once every 2 weeks, like, we're good. Twice a month, we're good. I take her out to eat every once in a while, we're good. My mom called me the other day, man. And not to put personal information out. She called me one day and said, hey, I'm gonna call you tomorrow and we're gonna talk. I said, okay. She called the next morning and she said, this is a conversation that you and I should have had 30 years ago. And her and I just went down through there, bro, and just talked about a series of events that altered both my life and her life. And it's like, the thing people have to do is people got to say, you know what? let's quit trying to put stuff up under the rug and let's call the thing what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people have uncles in their in their families that have done things they shouldn't have done to the nieces and all that stuff. A lot of people have had fathers or mothers that have been strung out on drugs or alcohol, but nobody was calling it that. And we try to just make every other excuse. You know, daddy losing job, mama losing job, mama running the streets, but we want to call it everything else. A lot of people got to just pause and look back 25 years, 15, 30 years, say, you know what? Let's talk about that, because you can't heal if you don't just call it what it is, man. Right. That's a real thing. And I think you said it, Biggie. Like, I think people are just now starting to do that.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. And it's so healing.
When your mother did that to you, how were you able to compartmentalize the stuff when she finally brought that up to you at the age that you were at that time when she said it?
Bro, it just made it took a lot of weight off my chest, and it really wasn't a negative weight. It was a weight of the unknown, like not having answers about a lot of things can be because it's like, well, if my mom moves like this, or my dad moves like that, or my uncle or aunt moved a certain way, and I don't know why, and now I'm moving just like them, like I can't possibly heal myself from it if I don't know why they did it in the first place.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like going back to something simple. Like I remember hearing a guy saying, I think it was Bob Proctor saying, hey, when he met his wife, his they were cutting the turnips in half. He was cooking the turnips, and his wife was cooking the root. And they were both like, why are you doing that? They both grew up thinking the opposite. So it's just a matter of saying, hey, let's talk about where this came from, and then we can understand why we do it. And that's how people heal. And I'm telling you, us, at least as African Americans, a lot of us have a lot of healing to do.
Oh yeah.
I think that there's also a lot that we're not even aware of. You know, back to what Brother Booker was saying about, you know, when a man ejaculates inside of a woman, there has been rape upon rape upon rape of our grandmothers. I mean, also you know, we could talk about that all day long. But I think that there's also something to be said of that imprint that you talk about. That's still there from the white man.
Oh yeah.
Unless that hasn't been clear the cachet. Unless that hasn't happened at somebody in the lineage. For me, it was my mother, and then I kept going with it. She cleared the cachet of a lot of things, and then I had to continue. And it's, you know, unfortunately, fortunately, it may be a whole lifetime until we're able to clear the full cachet. You know, when I look at, for me personally, I know this is not what this channel is about, but when I look at interracial couple, that causes me trauma because that was in my lineage. And so it's like, now I'm seeing people choosing that when my great grandmother couldn't choose that. And she that was forced on her, you know? So what did Kendrick Lamar say? Big, baby blue eyes, tell me your grandmother can't run, kind of thing. You know, like that's still present. You know, so yes, we're dealing with, you know, what we've inherited from our parents, like Victoria was saying about her father. But I think that, you know, it's kind of like, where do we stop that, you know, how do you say, like, where do we stop keeping count of that? Because I could also say I see buck breaking in the way that my brothers move in the world at some points, you know. I can see that in the men in my life. So I don't want to make it seem like, you know, the men are, you know, scathe free on this thing, you know, like you're not getting off scathe free, because yes, we as women, we have a lot to be said about what we are acquiring in our wombs.
I have a question. I have a question on that. I have a question on that, because it's something that I've had a conversation with about, and you kind of touched on it, I think, real quick. When a woman, kind of going back to what Brother Booker says, when a woman has this imprint and now she has a man's DNA, now she has even traumas from earlier generations. When this is a part of a woman, and when I say part of a woman, because I think a woman is more of a vessel than a man. She's going to hold on and culture things. Are there ways to get rid of that? Because I hear about like treatment and other. How can women get rid of that?
I mean, I think I can only speak from my experience. I spend a lot of time in nature. really just getting back close to Mama Earth, you know. And you know, for me, like you said, I'm the vessel, but she's also the vessel. So I can kind of give some of my energy back into the earth and say, here, Mom, I can't hold this no more. You know, maybe people think about it in regards to God or the Most High. I can't hold this anymore. So I need you to take this cup from me because I can't do it. I spent time today. I was at a waterfall. You know, the other day I was at a river. Like I literally set my life up so that I can be as close to nature as possible, so that everything that may be inside of me and all of the crevices that I'm not even aware of, that the minute that I baptize myself in that waterfall water, you know, it's that's been taken away. But you have to like be conscious of that. That's what you're doing. You know, like you pray before you get there. Hey, I'm going through this. I need you to take this confusion, this nonsense, whatever, away from me. Wash it away from me. That's what has helped me. You know, I'm sure working out as well is something that helps a lot of people. You know, because you're literally working out, especially if you sit in the sauna. You're working out. You're sweating all of those toxins out. Those aren't just physical toxins. Those are spiritual toxins as well.
Yes,
for sure, for sure. I love how you said that. It makes me think of and I'm probably gonna butcher it, but like the sciencey way of saying energy is neither created nor destroyed. It just takes on different forms, right? So being abstinent for a while, I feel there's such power in having, and everyone, men and women, having like a monk mode chapter of life where you're not with anyone, no sexual, no kissing, no nothing with anybody. That can help. Being in nature can help. The working out can help. Detox and fasting can help. If you're more spiritual, prayer, diving deeper into your spirituality, I feel all that can help as well.
I want to read what Brother Dwayne says. But real quick, Aunt Buggy, let people know who you are, man. Let, you know, me and this brother just worked together. I say a few days ago. That might have been a couple of weeks ago. Tell them about your pages and stuff, brother. Let them know who they're talking to, man.
Well, y'all. Well, once again, good to see y'all. Mr. Booker, is fine. It's good to be on the same joint with you. And what I have is a podcast called Keeping the Towel, and been running that for about 3 years and done a lot of stuff on entertainment and everything. And so what it is basically is just getting people into the set that life is a fight, as we all know, and we all got hit by life, knocked down by life. Yair, I remember some weeks ago when you was on the God Talk Live podcast on the live stream, where you said that you had to go all the way to Tanzania just to reset. And, you know, when you was talking about what that life did to you during the time where you were and everything. And I remember, Brother Booker, you spoke about that too, what life did to you in your past. And Victoria, hearing you earlier, what it did to you, and what is about that we have to keep our towel. And as we know, the universal sign of giving up in the game, in the fight game, is throwing in your towel. So that's something that I have, and I did one with Soul not too long ago, just a couple of weeks ago. And so the responses that people have been giving me has been ridiculous, from people saying, man, accountability, from they just could not believe the stuff that you went through, particularly being fired and going through something else in the same day. Yeah,
we went on everything, bro. We
we're some more time after, but that's what it's all about there. So
yeah, I enjoy it, bro. I enjoy it, man. And I'm glad you chimed in today, brother. I just want people to know what you had going on and know what you're giving back to the world, man. You definitely adding value to this planet, bro. But I want to go to what Dwayne K27ism said. He said, you want to know how to break bonds? Fasting and praying for 3 or more days and nights straight. No energy known or unknown is strong enough for God's plan. I'm going to tell you this, bro. I'm going to tell you this. I am a firm believer in in fasting, pretty much. And brother, I've done a lot of reading. I've even just observed, articles of people that are going through certain illnesses, that their body automatically goes to this state. I've noticed when a person gets to a certain mental condition. I remember when I got to a low mental condition, food was the last thing on my mind. And I think that's nature's way of just putting you in a mode of self-healing. But if a lot of people don't understand it, they counteract to it. A lot of doctors, when people start shutting down their appetite, doctors will start to cram food in there. It's like, no, let God do what he's doing. Right. So if a person knows that, then when it comes to like a lot of trauma, when it comes to healing, when it comes to whatever, I believe, I like what brother said. Brother said fasting, 2 or 3 days in the night. I'm telling you, bro, is huge. I mean, we could talk about that for 40 days straight, man. Fasting is huge. So I'm glad you put that on there, brother.
And I think that when it comes to that, it's something different that after you come out that fasting, I don't know if any of you have experienced that. When you come out of that, there's like this connection with other people. You just start vibing with other people who have the same or something similar to you. I don't know if any of you have ever experienced that. It's like when you hear the story that they dealt, you're like, wait, I thought I was the only one. But then when you hear others who have something similar or something more, it's like there's this synergy that you now have when you come off of that. I can't explain. I don't know what it means when you come off of that. Maybe one of you can explain that, but I've always been baffled when you come off of that type of fast and then you had that connection.
Man, all I have to say is feel like you're floating, bro. It feels like you're just full of that God energy when I come off of a fast, man. I love it. Once you get past that, and I don't know the stages. Once you get past that stage, when your body kicks in and it starts feeding on itself, and you can feel the healing process taking place in your mind, bro. That's like, man, that's like, man, I don't know what to call it. It's the bomb, bro. It's the bomb. Let me ask y'all this though. Let me ask y'all this, man. Like going back to the way the world works, the way things are, professional women, boss chicks, men, high value, the whole kit, the whole shebang. Do y'all think that going forward, that we should just evolve into what people have become and say, you know what? Like this is the way the world works now. Women are like this, men are like this. We just got to make it work like, a certain way going forward. Or do you think we should say, you know what? We have to go back to the way it was. We have to go back to clear-cut roles. We have to go back to men being in full masculine roles, women. Do we have to go back to make it work, or can we make something new?
I think source. I think we're moving further away from the source. I think we got to go back to the source, where it's less confusion. That's my take on it.
When you say go back to the source, you mean is that like roles, strict roles, or is it when I say like in other words, is it like going back to the way our grandparents used to move?
Well, even before that, we got to go back even before that, how we were designed to be. And the thing with relationships, I think both parties need to come in with the mentality of serving.
Yes.
Both parties need to say, how can I serve? And before I join with this person, am I able to serve in the way they need? Listen, man, I grew up in the church. I never got in the usher board. I didn't want to serve like that. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to stand up all day. I was in the you know what I'm saying? I've never been. That's not the way I wanted to serve. So no one can get me into it. But we'll get into it knowing we're not willing to serve in that relationship the way we need to serve, but we'll do it and force it. And it's drama, man, chaos.
I'm gonna go to you with that, Vicky. And the reason I want you to speak on that, Vicky, because I've seen you go through the transition of being out doing your own thing, having your solid career, having high end clients, to when you and there relocated to up in the Northeast. Your role in life changed. So what's your thought on that?
Right. Well, I love what Booker says about both people going into the relationship with an attitude of serving, because serving looks different, man to woman, woman to man. It's different. And it's up to that couple to decide what that looks like for them. This is where the clear communication, the maturity, knowing what you want from the jump, and having those in-depth conversations. I saw someone in the chat that said they like to have those conversations too, but someone felt like the world felt like it was stalking. Well, to that, I say, you have to stand for something. You have to know your own line. And I don't think that we should keep moving with the progression of the world, because as the world becomes increasingly liberal, more open, just anything goes. Now let's try to see if we can bring in this, and now let's try and open up the bathrooms for that, and all this nonsense. And it's like, so if we here in this room tonight, if we don't draw a line, we just gonna let the world take us on the highway to hell.
Mm.
And you don't even have to be a Christian to understand that.
Right.
But this world is going to hell. It is. So we have to know what's the line for us, right?
Right.
How do we keep healing? How do we keep evolving? How do we keep growing and nurturing ourselves back to a more pure space where we're not so confused financially, emotionally, sexually, all these things. But to address what you were saying, I did make the transition. Like, I still work part-time, but because I understood that Derek wanted a helpmate more as a life partner, as more of a feminine, that aligned with what I wanted for myself as well. So it was okay for me to leave that more career space and fall into a more feminine. Now I love cooking even more because I have more time to cook. I love cooking. I love making sure the house is nice and when you walk through the door and it smells so good. So you seen all my cooking, but it's like,
I be getting mad at Dale, like, man, send me a plate. I want to say something real quick. I want to say something about that, and I see he the one to say something too. Let me give a shout out to brother Anthony Spade real quick though. Quick at ease. If you aren't subscribed to Anthony Spade's channel, brother, I'm telling you, you are missing solid content. But I'm gonna tell you this. If you got somewhere to be, if you got something to do, if you got a conference call coming up, if you have anything within the next 45 minutes to an hour, don't go over there. I'm telling you, you're going to watch 3 or 4 videos at least. So when I see a video pop up, I say, if I'm busy for the next hour, I'm not even going because I know how that brother's content. Brother's hands down, in my opinion, one of the best fair content creators in the game, bro. Sigma male information, brother. It's solid. Check out Anthony Spade's channel, and brother, I appreciate that super chat. Going back to what you were saying, Vicky, and I didn't mean to cut you off, Yahida, because I saw you were getting ready to put some value in that too. But from my standpoint, and I kind of just learned through trial and error, I'll say, like once, because even going through relationships, in my early 30s and all that stuff, what I noticed was once I began to get in a position for a woman to come in my life, and let's say, I'm not saying she might not have stopped working, but if she was in a position to say, I know if the hit the fan, then I can dip. Or like you say, Vicky, like I just want to work part-time now, or I just want to do what I want to, work on my craft and write my books and read, I'm gonna tell you, brothers, a woman is going to tap into another point of herself that you've never experienced. You haven't experienced your woman to the full extent until she's been able to tap more into that more of that feminine role. And I'm glad Derek came on the camera because, and I don't know if I've said this to you, Derek, like I've seen you and Victoria both go through a transition. This is what I noticed. You went and you got the bag. Y'all were together, y'all were in love, things were going right. You went and got the bag. That put Vicky in a role to be more feminine. I'm seeing Vicky on IG cooking every day. I'm taking care of my man, blah blah, every day. His brother eating steak and shrimp and the whole thing. This is the thing. What I saw it do to Derek, it put Derek in a different mode. As Victoria went to that extreme feminine role, it by default put Derek in a whole nother something else. I'm looking online, man. Derek is building houses from scratch, cutting trees. Like, Derek's still doing all this. Derek built the house from ground up, I believe, bro. He's digging. I'm like, bro. So that was the beauty of it, man. A lot of people don't understand that. Hey, and that doesn't mean that a woman. It doesn't mean that a woman has to stop working. A lot of people say, a lot of women. It just means that it really once a man has a woman's back, like it's like, baby, yeah, you working, even if you're doing 9 to 5, but first day boss man come in and say, give you smack, you out of there. If a woman has that feeling right there, she's good. She's good, man. She'll work. She can still work 40 hours a week if that's what she chooses, if that's what they both choose. So that's all I wanted to say on that. And it took me a while to understand that. But I didn't mean to cut you off, y'all. You get ready.
No, it's okay. I really had a question, actually, for Victoria and your husband. I wanted to know, because you all are, down the line, down the track race than I am. I'm just kind of starting off, just putting myself in a position where somebody's mic is.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
figured
that
it
was
was
Phoenix. Yeah.
Okay. So, my question really to you all was, like, right now, I know, because I've been a teacher. That's my profession in the past. This is the first year I'm not teaching. My understanding now is that I want to homeschool my children. Being what's, everything that's going on in the world, and, just XYZ type thing we could talk about at another time. I know that I want to homeschool. In order for me to homeschool, it's going to be very difficult for me to go out of the home and have a job. That's something that I already know. So my question to you, Sister Victoria, and your husband was, did you all talk about this when you first got together? Is it something that naturally came up that you, kind of talked about you getting out of the job market outside of the home? How did you all have that conversation and hold that space? Because the other, I guess, two part of the question is, there's been men that I have dated. Maybe they weren't, serious enough. Maybe they weren't ready for a committed relationship. But I let them know, like, hey, I've been a teacher before. I see what goes on in public education, and I don't want my children in this at all. And it's kind of like, oh, she's serious. Like, let me back up, kind of thing. And I don't know if that's because I'm talking to the wrong people or not. But I would love to hear y'all's perspective.
Okay, so just to make sure I answer this question correctly, are you asking when we have kids, do we want to homeschool them versus public school, or?
No, my question is, how did you all come to the realization that Sister Victoria is going to be at home cooking and doing?
Okay. So essentially, this is how I grew up. My mom was at home for a good portion of my life before market tanked and stuff, and then she had to start working. But I always saw a woman at home taking care of the kids or me in the household. And my mom's life was never any less because she was at home, because she still was doing other things outside of the home. But like Soul mentioned, when my mom needed to help to keep things afloat with the family, she wouldn't get a job. And my dad was still making more than her. But now, and this is in the 1990s, $95,000 to $100,000 from my dad, and then my mom making like another 60, 65 working at Verizon. It helped. Our life improved. But once they got to a point to where my mom didn't really need to work anymore, it was just an easy transition. It's kind of like me and Vicky didn't really talk about whether or not she was going to be at home cooking and doing all the domestic things, but more so I made it available that she had the choice to do these things. Because if Vicky wanted to work 40 hours a week, she absolutely could work 40 hours a week and not cook every day. But if I'm handling everything, well, if not everything, but what I mean is if I'm taking care of business, I'm giving her the opportunity to choose what she wants to do. And then I just nurture it. Because when she was talking about wanting to cook more and everything, we started looking into classes, books, because at first I used to do all the cooking. Remember that, Biggie?
Yep.
I used to do, that was the other thing. I used to do all the cooking. And, but then
why you gotta add it in there like that?
All the cooking.
But then, Vicky started stepping her game up after I was cooking, leading by example. Hint, hint, fellas. Leading by example. She started cooking, and then before I knew it, she started researching, watching videos. Before you know it, now she's like a little chef. She started cooking so good that it made no sense to me to cook no more. We're doing ourselves an injustice if I do it. So that's why I'm saying we didn't necessarily have a conversation about it. It kind of just happened naturally by me opening up the opportunity to do it, but I also show that I can do it too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Does that answer your question?
It does. I think to add to that, something that I'm concerned about in getting to know somebody is because I feel so strongly about homeschool that I may get with somebody that still wants me to work. This is even going back to a former part of our conversation when we were talking about how, you know, the brother said, why should a woman, you know, get my benefits if she's not with me, you know, at the bottom? But I think also there's been, you know, aunties and mothers in the community that have pulled women aside to say, hey, don't do that anymore. You know, stop supporting a man that is, you know, at the bottom of his career, because he may just leave you for a newer model or, you know, a nicer looking model. Or that's something that I know has been said to me, you know.
And
I got something to add to that too, but go ahead.
Well, with that being said, I know a lot of women, older women have told younger women that, but that's also coming from a place of hurt. And you have to, as a woman has to be choosy and cognizant of who she's choosing to put her life in someone's hands. It's like, I see so often, this is not you, but I'm just saying in general, I see so often that when people kind of get into that mindset of don't do nothing for a man when he's at his bottom because he might leave for someone else, they were left by someone like that. And if you actually sit down and talk with that woman about this man, or you learn about this man, you realize he never really displayed those characteristics in the first place to give those benefits to, you know. I think a lot of times, just like how men kind of give too much up front with women without them really having to earn anything, sometimes women will give everything to the wrong guy, and that's where that hurt comes from. But just like I said before, you can't treat the next like your last. So because if you do that, because if Vicky did that to me, I would have been gone.
And I wanted to add, I'll take a personal, for example, my mom. So my mom was married to a man, my former stepfather. She was with him for 20 years. And when she met him, he was pretty much at the bottom as well. Fell into a domestic role, helped him build. He started making a lot of money, and he cheated on her a lot, specifically with white women, right? He had a big thing for, you know, maybe he has some internal Black inferiority complex, but there's a whole bunch of layers to this onion, right? Because this is the man of the house idolizing white beauty above all else. Meanwhile, you got Black children. We're all fucked up in the house, you know? So it's like, I could have easily followed her path. I could have easily been like, no, I need a man that's just already got it all right now, because if I help him build, he's just gonna leave me. He's gonna go with Becky with the good hair, all that crap that we're here. Like, I see you smiling. But, you know, I could have easily been that same way. But there was something in me that came after the healing that said, who I am in the core is I am the kind of woman that can meet someone and I can see the greatness in him even before everybody else see it. I knew within myself, this is really who I am. I just got to find someone with those right qualities so that even if he doesn't have it, I'm going to trust that light in me to see it, to see the bigger picture. And it's like, that's why I still, despite following the same kind of path, I didn't choose the same kind of guy.
Right.
But I feel for you, you're like, these are conversations you should be having up front.
That's what I was going to say
to those men, and you should be asking them how they feel about, hey, you know, you met me today and maybe I'm working 40 hours a week right now, but my true heart's desire when I have a family, I want to be at home some more. And maybe I just work 10 hours a week or 15 hours a week. Would you be okay with that, with holding down more of the finances, if we learn as a couple how to have alternative streams of income so that it's not all on you to provide every single dollar. Now we have passive streams of income, and maybe now you feel okay with me staying at home, homeschooling our kids, you know?
A lot of women can't have that conversation, but I think it has to be had up front, just like a man has his, you know, I'll use the word demands, like this is what or expectations. A man has his expectations from a woman. I think a woman needs to voice that, because if she doesn't voice it and they get married and have kids, and then down the road it comes up, now you have a train wreck.
Yep.
You know, you have a train wreck. So I think it has to be voiced. What I will say though is this, like going back to what the brother said, why should I build this? You know, build my kingdom up, and, you know, what gives her the right to come in and just fall in suit? I still can relate to what he's saying a little bit, but I know for me, and this is gonna change for everybody, because, you know, sometimes people don't get together until they're in their 40s or 50s or 60s. My thing is, when I imagine a woman coming into my life and just falling into a full domestic role, homeschooling or whatever, like when a woman is and this is just me, correct me if I'm wrong, if y'all feel different. But if a woman is having my child, like that's a future plan, she fits in a completely different category. So it's like that's a huge part of building my kingdom and legacy and all this stuff. It's like, man, it's like you're doing that's a whole lot. It's when a woman comes in and you don't know her past, you've only known her for a year or 6 months, and now she comes in and she wants to say, you know what? Okay, now I'm in this domestic role. Like take care of me. That's the hard part to swallow.
And unfortunately, nowadays, a lot of the women are so low functioning and low vibrating that it's not even a year. It's not even a year. I mean, you took her to freaking Red Lobster, gave her some cheddar biscuits, and now all of a sudden she's short on rent after 2 weeks. Ma'am, we just met.
Hey man, cheddar biscuits change your life.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Cheddar biscuits change your life. Come on now.
Somebody cheddar biscuits, we married.
Come on.
Like, why are we? This is not the kind of financial conversation I was trying to have, ma'am. I just took you out for cheddar biscuits, ma'am.
Yeah. Hey, so Phoenix Rising. What's saying?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah. What's on your mind today? You've been here chilling for a second. We haven't even paused to get your feedback on any of this. What's going on in your mind?
Well. Yeah, I'm just finding it very interesting. I love what the sisters are sharing, but and like I said, I came from a very, very different perspective. So I'm just learning, soaking everything in. My perspective. So I grew up Mennonite, which is like Amish.
True. And
totally there's no dating, no anything. I had an arranged marriage with the church leader's son at 18. Didn't know him, had no idea what he was. I knew that he was in trouble. He had been in trouble different times, but I had no idea what was going on. So, you know, basically when the pastor comes and asks for somebody, my dad couldn't really say no because it was the pastor. So, of course, you know, they make this pretense like as if they're asking my dad. And that group, generally, they are supposed to go and ask the father for the daughter. Well, that because of the situation, they kind of bypassed my dad. They asked me, and I was like, I was scared, to be honest. So let me ask you
the same thing I asked Sister Yahida earlier. So you were in an arranged marriage.
Mm-hmm.
So your parents looked at the future, you know, the future of their legacy. They looked at, you know, you as their daughter. They looked at a young man in the community. Do you think they made a solid or sound decision?
They really didn't have the decision. I remember going inside after. So the pastor called my dad and said he wanted to have a meeting with me privately. And my dad was scared. I mean, I'm telling you, the structure of that is messed up. The structure of that kind of a culture is the church leaders are the boss. They tell everybody what they have to do. The man takes the position, which I believe the woman should take. The woman takes the position of a child. And it took a lot for me to even come on here and speak, because I was in there till I was 30 years old. I'm 45 right now. And a woman wasn't allowed to speak in anything, in the church, anywhere. She wasn't allowed to speak. And there was abuse. There were situations where there was some severe abuse, but the man was always right. So what ended up happening was I got into the arranged marriage and find out from the beginning, 6 months later, he's cheating on me. People seen him at the clubs, this and that and the other thing. Well, I was trained and groomed from day one that once you're married, that's it. That's your life. You're never, there's no way out. You're just going to deal with it. And even though it was, okay, there's my dreams, because I didn't even know, honestly, I knew nothing about porn or anything. That was what he was into big time. He was into it so deep that he was, getting into, I mean, it got to the point where it was his life. I was married to him for 23 years, did everything. I will never say I did not do everything in my power to make him happy. I mean, I'm talking, getting up early, fixing lunch for him every morning, making sure when he gets home, he's got a hot dinner, he's got a hot bath, he's got everything, massage it. I don't care what it was. Anything I could possibly think. That's what I did for him because my parents were very happy. They're married 51 years now, and they're the best friends. They're best friends. They've always been.
And in Phoenix, they were also arranged?
No. No, most of them weren't. But it was just mine because of the pastor's son decided he wanted me for his son or the pastor did for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, that's.
Can I ask you a question, Phoenix?
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question, Phoenix? So with that, or needless to say, are you no longer with him anymore?
No, he left. He got hooked up with. He had so many women, and finally he left for one of them. And believe it or not, I had 10 children with him.
Oh, wow.
Yep, they're all born at home, all born naturally, all homeschooled, everything. I mean, I went through with this man through everything from basically hell because the way he was living, the energies were so messed up. He couldn't ever, keep anything going, keep a job, keep anything. So I was homeless with him. We lived in a tent with children for a long time. I mean, and I don't. To me, what you have is not what's important. It's what you are. There's I still don't have an issue with living with somebody in a tent. That's not an issue to me at all. If you are solid, if you're on the same page, if you can build together, because at that point, we actually built a geodesic dome together with our hands, with the trees off of our property. Wow. We went out and there were things like that where he'd be interested in that. And then he would just flip because he was so into porn. It would take his whole life to the point where he'd have a job. He literally would take the internet out of our house. It was a portable one. So I was trying to build a home-based business at that time just to support me and the children because he wasn't able to. And I didn't fault him for that. It's like, okay, let me get something going, which I did. I from the ground up, but he got really, would I say, jealous about that or upset about it. So he would take my internet away when I was trying to build clients. And you might laugh, but there were times when I went and climbed in my son's treehouse to pick up the neighbor's Wi-Fi so I could reach my clients.
Wow.
So Miss Phoenix, are you in a relationship now or
no, I'm not.
Do you see yourself ever getting into a relationship again?
Yeah, I can see that. I even though I've had, the violation of trust, let's put it that way, over and over and over, my trust has been violated. I still have the foundation of my father. My father was a good man. I know there's good men. I have 3 brothers. They are good men. They never cheat. They're not that kind of men. So if I did not have that foundation to look back on, I would just be a mess. But I don't believe that at all. I trust and have faith that there's good men because I see them.
Absolutely. Okay. So I asked that because this kind of goes back to how do I pronounce your name?
My name is Jahida, actually, everyone.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
we all chopping it up.
Oh, we all butchering it.
Everybody just putting Jason.
I gotta get better with this.
Hey, listen, my own family can't get it right sometimes, so don't worry.
Yeah, Jahida, I love your energy. I love listening to you. I just love it. I love what you're saying about homeschooling and stuff. I just give it to you because that's I raised my children all that way. And I did unschooling, actually, not using any curriculum. And sometime if you want to talk to me, let's talk, because it is just, I can tell you some stories. My 5 oldest ones are kind of, out on their own. And they are, so I only have one child that decided they wanted to go to high school. Now, I unschooled them from day one, no curriculum. If I wanted to teach them math, I would get a cookbook, take them in the kitchen and say, okay, I'm going to have you make this recipe. Let's have fun, and make 1.5 recipes. Well, they're learning their fractions and they have no idea, right? So I had one child, my son decided he wanted to play football. So he went right into high school. Now he had 0 book learning, 0, I'm telling you. And he goes in, and this is his second year, but he hit the top of his class in that first year in everything. He won the state championship. He won the state championship in CAD designing, and he's, it's like his teachers are like, whoa, he's the honor student, and he's had no book learning. So I can tell you, unschooling is the way to go. Let them develop, especially boys. To me, what I see them doing with boys just really bothers me, because a young man, a man, needs to develop hands-on skills before he's forced to learn books. Because what that does, if you take a man and you take the male brain, the child, and you start forcing book learning into that child before he does hands-on learning, it's going to destroy his ability as a man to go out and take on the world.
True.
And I definitely want to speak on that, but I Brother Chestnut had something to ask.
Yeah. So like Yahida was mentioning before, and it's Williams. But
Williams, I'm sorry.
But Sister Yahida, like she had mentioned earlier to Miss Phoenix Rising, you are a great example of like not letting you honestly, if there was anyone that would have a reason to be like, I'm not giving anything to any man ever again because of how I was, you are the epitome of that. And I can barely hear a lot of the potential hurt because you're not living in that past. And I can tell from just hearing what you're telling us right here that when you do meet a good man, you're not going to treat him badly because of the last man. And that's essentially the mindset more women need to have, because if you stop doing something because of 1 or 2 people, when the right person does come along, you end up shooting yourself in the foot.
Absolutely. So I agree 100%.
To add to that, you really hit the nail on the head with that.
And I would just say this. I would just say that forgiveness is a big thing, because it's just like that. And that was something that in the group I was in, they did teach a lot about forgiveness, which a lot of them didn't practice it. When I look back, they held grudges. But here's the thing. You can never judge a man until you walk a mile in his moccasins. That's an old Indian saying, Native American. I'm part Native American. I'm actually mixed of about every race you can imagine, except probably Chinese. But so I literally am able to feel all the different pain of different races just by literally feeling into them. But here's the thing. When I go back and I look at my ex-husband, he had a lot of trauma and pain in his childhood, being the son of the leader, and seeing some of the stuff that was shoved under the rug, the dishonesty. I remember him saying he never, ever one time heard his parents tell him that they loved him. So I have to look at him. I don't look at him with, judging or anybody else, because that was just the trauma in him. And that was his way of, rather than dealing with trauma, was to cover it up with all these things, the pornography, the, running around and all those kind of things.
And right? Really, it's a lot of just trauma. It just leads on to next generation. That probably started from his great-great-great-grandfather.
It does. And my children, my older children, recognize it. I've spoken to them a lot of how to break that curse before it comes onto their children, and they've done very well. I would have to say they've done very, very well in recognizing that trauma that their father has and not letting it carry. I've got 3 older children that are married. I've got 2 grandchildren, and it's like, that's really important to break that curse. Don't let it carry on.
Yeah.
that was something I was gonna add to what you're saying, Sister Phoenix. You know, going back to what Brother Booker said about the trauma. I think that's why I'm such a huge proponent for homeschooling the right way.
Mhm.
Is because I've seen, and I mean, you're talking about trauma in the home. That's not so much my purview because I know that I would not, keep perpetuating some of the things that I've had done, to me in my childhood because I've already healed from it.
Yeah.
But I would say that what I've seen to have a great impact is the trauma that children, particularly our young boys, face in schools. I was actually working. This is actually going to be part of the documentary. I was working for Edgewood ISD, and I'm gonna put their name out there in San Antonio, Texas. They had a prostitution ring. They had a prostitution ring of the adults, of the educational professionals, pimping out the young high school girls. That year, it didn't come out until later, but that year and years before, so that's my context. I also have a friend that was murdered by a teacher when I was in the 6th grade. He was in, what they call special education. And if I was a special education teacher, you look at the majority of people instead, they are young Black and brown boys. So why would I, in all of my little bit of knowledge, put my children in this context for 8 hours a day, more waking hours than that they would have with me as their parent, and put them in this situation just to incur this trauma, and not even in the household. Again, I'm not saying that I'm going to give my children trauma, but you're going to be an imperfect parent. But now you have to think about the ways that people are going to traumatize your children, and you're not even aware of it, that they're touching your children in the school. So, when I think of the trauma, brother Brooker, I think that it's one thing to talk about how we treat each other in the home, and that needs to be rectified, as quickly as possible, because, going back to the woman that gives her all and then the man just takes it all. We can heal that like you have, Sister Phoenix, and I'm so thankful that you came on and provided your perspective.
Yeah.
But then we also have to look at external forces of trauma, particularly that we are Black people living in European insanity, if you ask me, but living in these United States. That's what we have to now come up against as well. So I think it's a 2-part conversation. How do we treat each other on the interpersonal level, but also how do we incur trauma from the systemic level as well, whether that be the Mennonite Church or the government. There's a system at play as well. So I just wanted to
that's a good thought. That's true. That is true. There's trauma on every level. And I'm not sure if you've ever heard of, there's a website called hsperson.com. Have you heard of that?
No, ma'am.
That's really important to read, especially with boys as you're planning to have children and you're having, birthing boys. They're coming in very intuitive right now. And it gets down to the DNA strands. As humans, we've got 12 DNA strands, but most of us only have 2 active. These children that are being born right now, especially to those of us that are awake, they're coming in with their DNA strands activated a bunch more than what we have. And you have to be aware of it because it's way more traumatizing for those boys. If you go on hsperson.com, they actually created a documentary for HS young men and boys, and men in general, because it's such an issue that's not addressed. And that's why so many men are being traumatized and hurt in this society, in this culture in general, because of the activation that's happened, and they don't, they're still trying to treat them on the old template that was always there.
I would say that that's something that I've seen in my time as an educator. When we talk about highly sensitive people, we have our own, maybe street definition of what sensitive means, but everything that you're talking about is totally in my purview. I think that especially when we're talking about the men being the leaders, why wouldn't they be coming in with more of that power behind them? Not to say that, men before were nothing, but I mean, I have a young brother. He's 18 years old. I've never had to explain much to him. I'm the oldest in my family. I've never had to explain much to him. He already got it. And I saw when he came in that he already got it. So there, you kind of get a head start being that man. What I would like to think that creator is doing is, giving the men a head start, because this world is so messed up. So now you have people being born, you have men, specifically men, young boys being born, and having kind of like that lift up that they were not maybe able to get from us, because the society is just so traumatic. They're here to fix it. I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
I haven't heard of that. I haven't heard of that website, but I have been seeing articles on like children in general being different when they're born right now. Like this little period we're in.
Yeah.
Like, and I haven't heard the word DNA strands, but they're showing little kids, and they're operating like little humans. Like they're more aware.
Yeah.
And I've been seeing this. I don't know if the two are tied, but going back to the educational system, like, and I can go back to the book Outwitting the Devil, and it talks about this, how the educational system is actually stunning our growth. Like there's nothing healthy about it. You have a lot of guys, a lot of young kids, young boys that are getting in trouble for being active in school and labeled, with certain acronyms and taking meds, when really they're just being themselves. They're doing what they're supposed to do, and we're suppressing them. I remember when my son was young and teachers would call, I would really analyze what they were telling me, and I would say, okay, he's just being himself. So I would just explain to him that, hey, you're in a system that doesn't want you to develop in the way you should. So I agree with the homeschooling thing. It's a lot harder pill to swallow.
I'm gonna tell him.
But
I remember when I had a kid that he was very, very active, and people did the same thing. They were just labeling him, just giving him labels like crazy. And finally came to find out, all he just needed was just attention from a man. Mm-hmm. That's all that was needed. And it's so incredible. And Yarita, for you to speak what you just said, that that we have that taking these things away from men, and then saying that, hey, in the system that we're in today, no, you don't have that. This is what you're supposed to be. And it's really messing up so many ways. And book, when you spoke about that with our roles and everything, and going back to tie that all up, I think it, so when you was asking if our roles, do we need to go back? I think honestly, it has to just be, you have to just elevate yourself above whatever it is that people are putting the standards now, and you're going to have to just make your own path with your roles that fits you too. Hence, with the couple that we're seeing right now on the screen, that they basically had to lift up themselves, lift each other up, put themselves on their own path, give their own role that works for them. Mm-hmm. And if we can just get away from these standards, because now these roles are being attacked. You're not a man if you're not looking out for your lady. And Victoria, with your husband, when he was just starting out, when you saying that he was in the truck sleeping, that would have been easy on the grounds. Oh, he's not really a man. And it's like, no, that's not really the case. And brother, when you was talking about your wife, hey, she learned how to cook with this and using these things and looking up videos, that would have been trash. Oh, she's not really a true woman. Why are you cooking for him? And I think it's just sad to hear these things, that now that we're constantly seeing, going back to Sister Ya's point, that these roles that are just being used, and these so many different systems are now being implemented to rip apart and just say, no, this is not what it is. This is what you're not. And it's like, now it's confusing so many people that it is gotten to the point now that it just keeps us like this towards each other constantly, because it's ripped us apart, and not just apart in two, but in pieces. So we can no longer find our space anymore. So I think that's where it has to go to. I believe Brother Booker spoke about this some weeks ago, that he and his had to go ahead and just elevate themselves to a whole different level so that they can work what works in their home. And I think that's what we need. We need to get to that level now. We need to just extract ourselves of that and put ourselves on a level that works for us, that can save our homes, and more importantly, save our community.
I agree, bro.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well,
yeah, no doubt. Well, man, we've covered a number of things, man. And to be honest, like whatever the remedy is, whatever the solution is to fix this, if not even fix it, if not to first even turn things around, because really it's still a sinking ship. Like it's not even close. Like the conversations we're trying to have here, that we're having here, we need more people attempting to have these conversations. And like I said when I first started, I'm not going to sit here and act naive to the fact that for a man or woman to get into a relationship in 2021, like the dating pool sucks. Like I firmly believe that 95% of people shouldn't even be entertained anything more than, hey, let's hang out and kick it on the weekends. When you talking about, hey, let me at least find a man or woman to commit to, not even marriage. Like let me get to know this person more. Let me get into a committed situation. I believe we're looking at 5% of the population. Whew. And if you're talking about getting married and having kids and having a wife, and I think you're talking about 1% of the population. That's just me. I could be way off, and a lot of people don't believe. I believe we're at 1%.
I have a question, if you don't mind.
Please.
So there's a lady that I've known quite well out of Chicago, and she works with relationship templates. She works on she puts it this way that she works on higher dimensions, not 3D, but on different dimensions. She's been saying for the last how many months that the relationship templates that we've had on this planet are all going out. They're all going out the window. She says that's why we're seeing this big mess right now, because what was our templates here are not working. They very obviously aren't working. Mm-hmm. And she says that the new relationship templates are being implemented right now. And she said it's going to be, the template is going to be all or none. You're going to be seeing power couples that come in all or none. It's not going to be any one or the other on the fence, and this one over here and this one distracted by someone over here. It's not going to be that way. And she says that it's coming in, and she's seeing it coming in really fast, especially over the month of October.
Well, thank you for providing some encouragement there, sis.
Yeah, it is. She puts on webinars. She was actually on one of the calls that we had with Brother Soul, but it's very encouraging. It really is.
Interesting.
I would say to your question, so it's like what J. Cole say. The good news is you came a long way. The bad news is you went the wrong way. Yeah. So if you're going on the highway and you know that you're not going in the right direction, you find the nearest exit as quickly as possible. And like Sister Phoenix just said, two people have to be willing to do that work, because nobody has all the answers. And as we've all mentioned, people are coming in with trauma, and there's no way that we can deny that there has been trauma. But when we both say, hey, I see your trauma, I see your trauma, let's go to the waterfall, let's pray and fast together, let's do these, let's work out, let's do these things that are going to be helpful to the next generation. Because like you all mentioned, we got children that are, ready to come in now with, sitting upright, eyes open, day one. So I'm thankful to be in this position, even though it does seem like a precarious journey sometimes, like Brother Boogie said. I wouldn't have it any other way. I'd rather be single and not settle, as crappy as that sounds. I'd rather do that than to choose the wrong one and have a lifetime of pain and suffering.
No doubt.
Yeah.
The big piece of that is the choosing part. I like that you said that. You have to choose. Essentially, you got to choose the battles you want to win and the battles that you'll take a loss on. But at the end of the day, you got a chance to choose it, and don't jump into anything just because the world or society is telling you need to because of A, B, C, and D. Do it when you're ready.
And at the same time, it's our responsibility as adults in this generation, because we have to look past us. We have to look, once we're all gone, when the world is a certain way, it's gonna be because we quarterback this situation. Because even though we can look at a lot of people that are younger and coming up teens, early 20s, and they're moving a certain way, they still have eyes on us. Like they're still going to be affected by our trauma, just like we are affected by our parents and grandparents' trauma. So if we aren't having these conversations, if we're just jumping on the wagon that's easiest, that's more profitable, then we're going to be a part of that generation behind us when they suffer. I at least want to be on the side of the fence, man, that's trying to try to put something good.
Absolutely, and I've told you this before, but I really feel like what you're doing, your movement, it's a massive step in the right direction. There's probably people listening to this or even watching the replay later, and they're in this space where it's like, well, how do I begin? I know that I'm on the wrong path. The exit's not for another 5 miles. The gas tank light is on E. What do I do? How do I where do I even start? And it's like, well, maybe this is where you start.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Maybe it's not about making a monumental move or some kind of power move because you're not ready. Maybe it just starts with just listening for a little while, just having the courage to go start a dialogue with someone in your family, trying to get the answers, trying to figure out if you feel they're going to be open and tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Why did this happen?
Yep.
Can you tell me a little bit about your past, or do you have trauma? However that conversation is going to go.
True.
And then and add to you, Victoria, and when you get that, whatever's being told to you, now, how do you release it? How do you process and be able to release it? Because I think that's where we get caught up. Once we catch whatever it is, it stays right here or right here, and it stays there for a long, long time, and hence the trauma it aggrandizes, and then it gets worse.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, there's one thing that a sister shared with me today that I would like to just drop here for you to think about. It was very epic to me to hear what she said today. She was explaining it as energetically. Our bodies are not us. Our soul is our higher self is who we really are.
Mm-hmm.
And our body comes in, and she explained it through the umbilical cord. She said the umbilical cord of the baby in the mother's womb, and I know it's where the soul comes into the child's body. It's like a silver thread, if you want to say, from the actual soul, the higher self, to the body that we're in here in 3D. But our whole soul can't come into this body because the body's so limited. So she was explaining, her perspective, or how she's seen it in relationships. So let's say there's two people that are together. Maybe one's treating somebody really bad. But she said on the higher level, on the soul level, our souls are still working together.
Mm.
Our souls are working together, and they mean for the highest good. But down here, we have a blockage between ourselves and us, our 3D body, and our higher self. There's so many things that can cause that blockage. So
True.
because we have that blockage, we're not communicating with our higher self. And you can look at all these old ancient from Egypt and stuff. They have these things that they found in the tombs and everything that are actually showing that. They're showing the connection to the higher self. It shows like the pineal gland, or a pineapple shaped like design. That's what that's showing. But just thinking about it, no matter when you're, what relationship you're in, your souls are always everything happens for a reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everything. So maybe our souls decided to before we came here, decided, okay, we're going to meet and I'm going to treat you real bad, but don't forget about it. There's actually a children's book. It's so adorable. It's called, oh goodness, what is it called? Anyway, it's called The Little Soul. Look it up. It's called The Little Soul. And it's talking about these two souls, how that before they decided to come here, they got together and they talked about their plan. They were going to come down here, and they had a plan to help each other grow. The whole plan was to help each other grow. So then they come, and the little soul says, now don't forget, when we get down there and I'm so mean to you, don't forget who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And then you sit back and you go, oh my goodness. So if we really look at it this way, would we really hold on to the trauma, or would we say, that was all in place. I surrendered to everything was planned ahead of time. You know what I'm saying? So think about it.
I love that.
I actually had a death experience at some point. I'll maybe share that, but through my death experience, I was shown that vision and shown that everything was already pre-planned. We pre-planned everything before we came here. And when you start realizing it, then you can start letting go of what really the trauma is in our mind.
Right.
You know, we believe so-and-so wronged us and so-and-so wronged us. But if we really could see on the higher level, would we really hold on to that trauma, or would it just come in and go out and we would grow from it like our soul meant us to do in the very beginning? Wouldn't that be the proper way of dealing with what we're calling trauma?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
And you know, Phoenix, like so much of today's society, you know, like Western society is so sick. And there's so much in place to keep us from having this exact thought, to keep that blockage there forever. They never want us to heal. This, you know, that Boogie was talking about, they want that forever. They want us to be so broken, the left hand won't even recognize the right, you know? And it's so beautiful when you talk about that. And I just, like I said, I feel like these conversations are so necessary and so needed. And it's like, yeah, like how long are we going to keep talking about it? God damn it, as long as it takes, every day, forever. So I really love that. I'm gonna look up that book.
Just let's keep on. I agree. I really appreciate what Soul is doing, pulling these platforms together, because until we really can talk it out, I don't think we're ever going to heal. We've got to talk it out.
Yeah.
We have to open ourselves up. I mean, it's been extremely hard for me to come on and just speak, because that's just not how I was, you know, how I've come up. But I just feel like it's the most important thing on the planet right now is for us to communicate with each other on a soul level, not just yacky, yacky, yak. No, on a soul level. Your soul speaks to my soul and vice versa. Until we do that, we're not going to remember who we are. We have to remember who we are and why we came here, because honestly, all of us are here to change the planet right now. We are here to change the templates. These templates that are here are not working on a religious level, on a relationship level, on you know, races against each other. It's all been divide and conquer. We have to break that right now and become one who we really are.
Facts. I appreciate the brother immaculate mentality, man. I appreciate all the value you've been adding value in the chat the whole time, brother. I appreciate that super chat. It says, teach your children the Lord's commandments. Talking about them when you sit at home and when you walk along the road. When you lie down, when you get up. Deuteronomy 11:19. That's heavy, bro. What is Deuteronomy? Yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying, bro. That's heavy, man. Appreciate that super chat, man. Appreciate all the value. You've been dropping some knowledge in the chat, brother. I appreciate that, man.
He sure has.
Thank you, Immaculate.
Yeah, he's been dropping gem after gem, brother. But yeah, it's a never ending conversation. It's and to be honest, for it to get to where it needs to be, it's a good chance that the world, society as a whole won't get there in our lifetime. We really just have to focus on people that are trying to move. Because, you know, I believe in this whole 2019, 2020 thing, I believe it was a great divide. It was like either you going hard to the left or hard to the right.
Yes.
But it's like there are two different channels now. We split. So really when we have these conversations, it's not about saving those that want to still go down the wrong road. It's like, okay, go that road. But for us going this road, going this direction, and those that have an open ear, then let's talk about it and fix it. You know what I mean? It's not even about saving somebody that don't want to know. It's about saying who's on this vibration. Y'all, let's go this direction. It's simply about that now, man. You know?
For sure.
Like I said, when brothers or sisters get online and start talking the opposite, and we finna get off. I know y'all probably got things to do. We got family to visit with. But when people talking about one way, whether it's hate, whether it's love, everybody's right. Everybody's right. A woman can get online and say men are all this stuff and don't do this, and they are right. That is their world. Men can do the exact same thing. That is their world. What people need to understand is you can come out of that world. Like it's like like there's another world you can tap into, and that's the main thing. Once you understand there's a different frequency of thinking, then the whole healing process, not even healing relationships, healing ourselves first, and then it'll heal relationships, man. People just, you know.
Yeah. Compassion is the key. You got to have to tap into the world.
Yeah.
It all starts with each one of us in our own respective lives, and the people that are in our lives that want to be there and want to be better. Is where a lot of the issues come, is we're always trying to help people, like Soul just mentioned, that aren't really trying to change. We can't worry about everyone that's not willing to change or willing to make the moves needed to do homeschooling, to teach your children properly, and to not be just of this world, but to be in their own square, to make the world be molded around them. We have to control our environment, and as humans, we're put on this earth for that purpose, to mold the terrain to what we need it to be. And right now, we're men and women, we're letting society kind of tell us where we need to go versus just being in our own square and making it how we want it to be. So with us having these conversations like this, it's only going to get better. We might only reach 100, 200, 1,000 people today, but when we go out into our everyday lives, people that we don't even realize we have an impact on are impacted on us, and they go out and do something, and they do something else. And then we create the people we want to work with. We create the people that we want to help, by being what we are saying we want. I want to bring more financial wealth to my family. I started investing. I started teaching Vicky. Through me teaching Vicky, Vicky started teaching her friends and her siblings. And not everyone listens, but for the people that have, all of them, their lives have changed. Because it's just, from my standpoint, it started with me getting myself together. And then getting myself together enough that I can share the growth that I've created in myself with someone else, for them to mold it and hybridize it into something completely new, but still have the same end goal.
Yeah. So, and that's another thing that's been so great about watching Soul's evolution, because I like to bring it up a lot because it was so funny. But the Pop My Trunk.
Was I in a dark place?
Whoever was in the chat room, if y'all remember Pop My Trunk, Soul, listen. Soul was not always on this wavelength right now, okay? Soul was the person that, when shit got thick, you called him because he was showing up with the little blinky, you know what I'm saying? Like, Soul was there.
I was a different person.
I was both Souls.
And then go and pop a bottle in the club for doing it. My man.
I was a different person. So you master duality, Soul.
Hey, I'm trying to evolve, brother. I like what Goddess Yaya said. She says the Bible says this too shall pass, but we were never taught how to bring trauma to pass. I think that's huge. I think that's huge. Like, a lot of people, like the trauma we go through, a lot of people say, you know what? I understand something's wrong. Like, I know something's wrong. I need to get out of this. I don't know how. A lot of people aren't, and that's a bad state to be in. It's better to be in that traumatic state, and you're just still putting wood on the fire, and it's like, okay, I'm thinking life is good, and it's good. Once you understand that it's not good, and you don't know how to come out, so that's purgatory, man. That's like, what do I do now, man? And that's a painful place to be in. So I appreciate that, sister. That makes a ton of sense.
That's beautiful. And thank
we're gonna wrap it up, man. I know it's 8:40. This is what I want to do. I want to go around, and I'm not sure if y'all are seeing this in the same order I am. I'm guessing y'all are. We're gonna start with Victoria. Just if you have anything to add to what's unspoken in relationships and dating, some red flags, what people should know, and then tell everybody where they can find you.
I definitely feel we should have a part 2. I really enjoyed everyone on the panel here tonight. I would love to chop it up with a part 2 because, so, I got questions for days. But if you guys want to connect with me, I'm on Instagram. You can type in Victoria Chestnut or Luna Posh Hippie. Luna Posh Hippie with 2 H's. So how do I put that in the chat? But
yeah, right. Can you see the chat? Can you see the
let's see.
Can you see where everybody's coming?
Go to
Victoria, do you have email?
I do.
There you go.
Because I'm old school. I don't have any of the Instagram.
Type it right there.
Okay, so I'm gonna type in my email.
Okay.
And also my Instagram.
And then on my end, me and Vicky are a team. So if you are ever looking into fitness, health, wellness, and finances, you can find me at Night23X on Instagram, or you can find us both on YouTube at Top Flight Fitness Gym. We got all kinds of things you guys can watch, from fitness to relationship stuff, things involving our relationships, as well as where we're going in life moving forward.
Yeah.
Boom. Brother Booker.
Yes, sir, man. I just wanted to say it's no accident. We're all here today. Any perceived good thing you went to or perceived bad, anything your trauma has led you here at this point. And man, look what beautiful thing. And people are watching and learning, and we're sharing amongst each other. So, you know, everything ends up being for the good. But you can see me on IG, s.d.booker. On YouTube, you can see me at A Toast to the Men with SD Booker. Facebook, SD Booker. And you can get the book Toast to the Men on Amazon. Toast to the Men by SD Booker.
Bet. Sister Jahida.
Yes, again, thank you so much, Soul, for bringing this together. I would say my lasting comment would be, you know, for the woman that put in the chat a minute ago, you know, sometimes we don't know how to deal with the trauma. I would say the biggest thing that my biggest takeaway is you got to have a code. So whether it be the 42 laws of Ma'at, whether it be the 10 commandments, whatever your code is, memorize it and stick to it on the daily. I would say where you can find me is, my name is spelled correctly this time. I changed it, but that's really how you spell my name. So on Instagram, I am Yahaira, and then writes, like you're writing something, writes plural. That's me on Instagram. I don't really have any other social media, but also my page is private, but you know, come in the DMs, add me, whatever. Line of communication is open.
De La Spada, right?
Yes, De La Spada.
Okay. Gotcha.
Man, put my whole government name out there.
Dang. Sister Faith.
All right, we got you.
Did you say my name? I didn't hear you.
You have anything you want to close out with, or do you have any pages you want to?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on the last thing Derek had said before, where he was talking about the schooling. I have this vision, like this really strong vision, and actually have the foundation set up for it. And just looking for people to come in to build a online homeschooling platform where we can do live, like we can have, okay, let's just say Victoria wanted to teach one day. She'd come in and she would have her little, you know, whatever she put together for maybe a first grader, and she would put it up there. She'd pre-record her stuff. She'd put in her little worksheets, blah, blah, blah. I mean, we could make this thing so powerful and so easy for parents that want to do the homeschooling that feel lost. You know what I'm saying?
It's interesting.
Yeah,
Let me ask you a question on that. Is that something that can migrate over to outside of the U.S.?
Absolutely, it would. So the platform that we have set up is international already. It's the website is americannationals.org. We have about 30, you know, a bunch of different platforms, but that's the plan, is to try to find people that are willing to come in, and it could be a subscription for the parents, like a monthly. I would love to have my children, you know, pay Victoria a monthly fee to do these lessons, maybe however many times a week she wanted to, but be free of the system, be free of the history that's a lie, be free of, I mean, everything. It's like everything they're trying to teach and put into these children's heads is a lie. It's not what we want. So, you know, basically create our own structure, you know, and even hands-on learning and things like that. You know what I'm saying?
True.
I have never thought about that. That's so So interesting.
So I mean, I'm just looking to network with some of you sisters and brothers, and let's just do this. It's just like, again, it's the new template. What happened on December 21 of last year is so powerful, and it's a shift that people really don't realize the energy we're in right now. What we're creating today is the next 200 years on this planet. That's right now.
I believe that.
Right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what do we want 200 years for our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren? What do we want? That's what we're doing right now. Let's do it.
That is definitely a move in the right direction. You have to think about, what am I leaving in the world long after I'm gone?
Mhm.
When I'm not here to reap any of the benefits anymore. And maybe the benefits are not even for me, Like
when you're not here, when you're not here, you still will be here, Victoria. You're never going to be gone. When you leave a legacy, the only ones that will be gone are those that wasted their time.
Yeah.
And I'm just telling you from experience, when you have a death experience and you're on the other side, immediately the first thing that happens is you look back at your life and your soul is so disappointed in yourself because you did not remember who you were. You did not remember what your purpose was. And thankfully, I got a second chance.
Wow.
And you know what? That's a. I want to cover that one day.
That's definitely a topic.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with Victoria. Let's do a second part. Let's
I'm gonna tell y'all. Phoenix Rising. I'm gonna tell y'all about her, and I'm gonna spill the beans. She is knowledgeable on a ton of things, and I'm gonna leave it at that. Her and I have had some conversation offline before. We'll talk about just there's some wild things that she's just very informative source, and I definitely want to cover that as well as that near-death experience that you've had. That's a heavy thing. That's a heavy situation.
Absolutely.
Appreciate the value you add.
I just want anything I could bring to the table to help people remember who they are. That's the whole bottom line.
Yeah.
Is as soon as you remember who you are, everything's gonna iron out in your life. Everything.
True. Everything. I believe in that. Appreciate that, sister. Brother Ant Boogie.
Yo, my Instagram is I am Ant Boogie 3000, and I have a podcast, Keeping the Towel, and that, as I said, I have Soul on there. That's my latest episode on there, and I'm gonna tell y'all after you're done is either you're gonna need a breather or you're gonna need a drink, one of those two. But incredible, and I would love to just continue to connect with like-minded people, and I believe that this was needed. And so I could just say thank you, brother, and I agree with Victoria. Let's make a second one, man. But thank you, bro. And if this is what it is, hey, this is the start that we're gonna use, as Derek said, just to be that change. Hey, let it start right here.
Yeah, and I also just want to say thank you. It's not even my podcast tonight, but I see all you guys in the chat. Y'all had some beautiful conversations in the chat room tonight, so thank y'all for showing up and participating as well. Thank you.
I'm gonna close out with this, man. I'm gonna close out with I really after reading this brother's words, I can't say anything better than this to close out with. First, the brother says, back to the immaculate mentality. He says, first, Sister Victoria dropped the main point earlier, so preaches it all the time, okay? But this is what he says that made me smile, brother. He says, everyone must do monk mode to find yourself, heal, etc. Then go out and be light into the world. That's what it's going to boil down to. Like, we can try to reach out and talk to everybody and say, let's get right. But we have to first go within ourselves, make ourselves right, and then our world is going to reflect. So if everybody is doing that, or a lot of us are doing that, then the world will slowly start to change, or those that want to change will start to change. You know what I'm saying? So, brother, immaculate mentality, I appreciate that, brother. Go within and be the light of the world, man. I can't really say anything more powerful than that right now, man. So I want to say thanks to everybody for joining. Thanks for everybody for giving the super chats.
Thank you.
Thank Brother Booker, Brother Vicky, Derek, and Boogie, Sister Phoenix, Sister Jahida. Thank everybody, man.
We're going to get it right next time. We're going to get it right.
That was great. Proving her name for days. Ain't nobody got it right. Nobody cussing everybody out. But yeah, thank y'all, man. Thank everybody for joining. It's your boy Soul Immortal, and we out.
Hey!